rigmarole and the wild things flow. Rigmarole, the voice of the fight. Dolph and James are shining the light.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the next episode of...
Rigmarole with Dolph and James.
That doesn't sound right. We did that backwards.
Did we?
Usually I'm the one that does the rigmarole, and this time you're just like, hey, rigmarole.
I was excited about it.
Either way, it is the Rigmarole podcast.
It is the Rigmarole podcast.
With Dolph and James. That's Dolph.
Hi. He wants me to point at him and say, that's James.
I do.
I'm not going to.
Son of a bitch.
You know who you are.
I know.
And by now, they know who you are.
Well, hopefully.
I would assume.
But I mean, the thing, like with the picture and the name, it's still confusing.
It is, slightly. But we went over that on
yes,
episode
we did.
1.
But it's still confusing.
It is. So, last episode...
And not everybody starts on the first episode.
Do they not?
So, I listened to Joe Rogan. I have never listened to the first episode of that.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. Welcome to Rigmarole!
That's better. Yeah.
With Dolph and James.
Woo-hoo.
I'm Dolph.
I'm James.
There you go. All right.
Yeah.
I feel better about that now. Do you feel better?
I feel pretty good.
You feel slightly better?
Just slightly.
Slightly better.
Slightly.
Okay.
It's better than not at all.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is very, very true.
Just, at least a little bit.
Yeah, I feel it.
Speaking of little things.
Oh, shit.
You know how sometimes you overthink things?
All the time.
Okay, but I mean, like, something that you shouldn't overthink. It should not be complicated, but for some
all
reason,
the time.
you make it complicated.
My
And
entire
then
life.
once you figure it out, you feel incredibly dumb.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you about one of those that I had last night.
Oh, Jesus Christ. What did you do?
Okay, so we were driving back. Well, not last night, but you know what I mean. When we went to Niagara Falls, we were driving back.
Right.
And I saw a van. And this van was a very small van. Okay?
Okay.
No, just this was a very small van. I mean, it wasn't very long.
Yeah.
It was not very tall.
Okay.
It barely classified as a van. I was like, look at that van. It's so tiny. I wonder if they have a name for small vans. Like maybe a tiny van, or like a small van, or a
A minivan?
Never mind.
That's what they're. That's hilarious.
That's what I did.
That is fantastic.
But you know exactly what I mean.
I know what you mean.
It happens.
It does. And it happens to me all the time.
Oh man.
So how you feeling tonight?
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Pretty
Oh,
good.
That's good. That's good. Last episode we had Keenan on.
Yeah, we did.
Hopefully you guys learned a lot about him.
Probably not.
Probably not.
You know that he likes to chill and he doesn't like talking into the mic the way he's supposed to.
Correct. And you probably learned that we had a lot of technical difficulties. I do apologize for last episode's audio problems.
Hopefully we will be doing good now.
I think so. I think we're good.
And again, to reiterate on the last episode, again, Keenan's family. And, he has actually told us before that he wants us to make certain jokes that might be a little bit more...
risque?
Sure, we'll go with that. But I hate no one. I love and hate everybody equally. And you know what I mean.
I do.
I do. And it's nothing about anything like that. But if I don't make a joke like that toward Keenan,
Like what?
talk about like the Keenan, with the credit and wanting to know our bank accounts and all that type of stuff.
I do.
If I don't make jokes like that, he's like, "What's wrong with you?"
That's true. That is true. I mean, yeah, I'm not going to go over to it. He gave himself a nickname years and years ago that he wanted everybody to call him. I'm not going to repeat it right now. It wouldn't be right with him not here. But
he gave him that name, and he expects us to call it to him most of the time.
yeah,
He wants us to, and it's not a bad word at all.
it's not a bad word at all. No, like it's not. It's something you can definitely say on TV.
Can you?
I would imagine.
Well, you can just say, Keenan wants to be called.
Yeah.
You can say that. You could say that.
You can say that too.
Okay. Keenan likes to be called the Hafrican.
Yes.
because he is he's got his mama is a Caucasian lady, and his daddy is definitely not.
That is correct. That is correct.
It's rather that or his grandpa calls him hemorrhoid because he is a pain in the ass.
And that's hilarious. I've called him hemorrhoid on several occasions.
Yeah,
And
but
African.
but his grandpa did it first.
Yeah.
He's been hemorrhoid since he was like 4.
Yeah. So I wanted to tell you about something. I'm not going to tell you in what context of my life it happened.
Oh.
But I will say that I recently talked to this older lady, right?
Oh.
Talking to her on the phone, and she was telling me, we were just having a conversation, and she told me that she was going to go to Lowe's to pick something up, and I was like, well, you could also go to Home Depot. Because she was talking about how, she didn't think Lowe's had it in stock and all this and all that. And I was like,
okay,
you can go to Home Depot. And she said, oh, I can't go to Home Depot.
Why can't you go to Home Depot?
That's my thought, too. She said, well, I'm boycotting Home Depot right now. And I'm like, what? Why are you boycotting? What happened?
What did they do?
Well, she said that they were killing her cats. And I was like, oh, no, that's awful. And in my mind, I'm thinking,
how?
Well, see, I thought maybe they were putting out, traps for bugs and mice and stuff, and the cats might just be eating them or something like that. But no, she said that she caught them on video killing at least 5 of them by, driving the little forklifts and dropping pallets.
Like mini forklifts?
Yes. That's funny. Dropping pallets on cats and then, smashing them and throwing them in the dumpster.
Cats are, really agile. They get out of the way of everything. How are they supposed to get squished with a forklift?
I have no idea, but, she's telling me this, and I'm just like, oh, my God, that's awful. And so I was like, oh, no, that's terrible.
Sounded like she was making it up, though.
Kinda, but there was conviction in her voice. There
Okay.
really was. And I'm like, that is awful. She's like, yeah. And the thing is, I got it on video, and I went and I showed the manager of Home Depot, and she was like, bullshit, that's not my people, blah, 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 you're banned. You can't be here anymore. So, she didn't know that I'm a retired cop, and she didn't know that all the cats in Oldham County, all the stray cats, are mine.
Do what?
Yeah. And she's like, they're all registered to me. I'm like, that's when the crazy alarms started going off. I'm like, okay. And, she wasn't saying that, they come to her house. No, she just apparently has picked them all up at some point, had them registered, and let them go. And she was like, all the feral cats, all the stray cats.
Fixing them and letting them out so they don't breed, I guess.
Well, I guess. Well, clearly they're breeding because there's a crap ton of them. But she's like, I'm a retired cop, and I showed my attorney, and we're going to be doing so. I'm going to own Home Depot. Crazy shit, dude. Crazy shit.
She's going to own them?
Apparently she's going to own them.
No, that's not good.
Hopefully she fires the cat killing staff.
Yeah,
because that's not a good business to be in.
Maybe you can get in with her, and then you'll own part of Home Depot.
I don't want no part of that. I like Home Depot.
Yeah, so do I.
I have no problem. I prefer
Maybe
Home
you
Depot
could at
to
least
Lowe's.
get a discount.
A discount?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's in Oldham County. Wherever that is. I don't know. I don't even remember what state that is, but it's Oldham County.
I believe that's over in Kentucky.
Oh, okay. Maybe. But either way, it was crazy. I thought it was funny. I just wanted to share it.
That is funny.
It was pretty funny.
Let me think.
What you thinking about?
I had something, and then I forgot it again. That happens every now and then.
It does happen every once in a while.
Hey, what's that over there?
What?
That can.
Oh, this can?
Yes.
This can right here? This can right here is D's Nuts. We are not sponsored by D's Nuts. I think you have a little something over there, too.
Oh, what's the... Oh, look! More D's Nuts.
Wow.
And not just that, but they're the hot cheddar flavor.
They are the hot cheddar D's Nuts peanuts.
That's correct.
Man, I really enjoy D's Nuts.
So do I.
I do.
I enjoy them so much that this can hasn't been opened yet.
Would you like some of mine?
Yes, I would.
That's right, James. Take these nuts.
In my mouth. They're good, too.
They're great.
Damn, they're good. But anyway.
So, yeah. When's the last time you talked to DW?
Oh, DW?
Yeah.
maybe about 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago.
Really?
He just randomly sends me messages, usually around 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, asking what I'm doing, seeing if I want to jump on PlayStation, play a game with him.
That sounds about right. So,
And then I'm like, I'm at work, or I'm getting ready for work, and he's like, oh, I feel that.
feel that. I don't know why the whole I feel that reminds me of JJ.
No,
You know what I'm talking about?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I remember.
Yeah. So, man,
What?
I just want to talk about something.
You wait, that?
What?
You can talk about that, I guess.
No, that's not what I want to talk about.
Well,
That's funny,
what
though.
he's talking about was the guy he's talking about. We're going to call JJ for the moment.
JJ.
He's one of those people who, at least at that time, wasn't really that much of a friend as much as an acquaintance. You know, he's somebody I knew, talked to every now and then. And I'd left to go to the gas station to, I think, get like a pack of cigarettes and a drink or something. And he was there, and he was like, "Hey, how you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, hey, what's up, man?" And he was like, "Nothing much. What are you doing here?" And I was like, "Well, I'm just, getting some cigarettes and drinks." He's like, "I feel you." I was like, "Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and go up to the counter, and buy my stuff." And he's like, "I feel you." And then I was sitting there, and I was in line waiting, and he was just behind me. And it's like he kept just saying, "I feel you." And he kept saying it, but every time he said it, he'd get quieter and quieter. "I feel you. I feel you." And he just kept doing it. And I'm like, oh my God, I need out of here.
That is the best story. Well, it's one of the best. It's hilarious.
So now anytime anybody says something like that, this guy over here, wants to, "I feel you."
I feel you.
And he just keeps doing it.
I love it. I love it. Do you remember when he made you tap? I had to. I'm sorry.
Yes, I do. I think it was like the only time, even though you keep on wanting to pour it another time.
So he's referring to the time that he tapped to a girl in our wrestling. And I've gone on podcasts, like my own podcast, and still talk about. I will, that was all character stuff. It was all character stuff.
Yeah, it was like a screw job type thing because I didn't actually tap.
Yeah,
My
he
hand
didn't.
never went. But
He never tapped, but it was hilarious.
He came out and was like, "Ring the bell, ring the bell." He tapped, and I was like, "What the hell?"
I didn't do it. The ref at the time.
I thought it was you.
No. Remember, because you called me out.
Mm-hmm.
So did you see that crap?
And you're like, "Yeah, so you tapped to a girl."
Yeah, but no,
that was like right before our big 3-stage thing.
Yeah, that was the whole reason that happened.
Why it got started, at least. Yeah.
But
yeah,
no,
I remember.
But yeah, so no, he didn't actually tap, but you did to JJ.
Yes, I did.
But
Well, he had like put me in an ankle lock, and he's like, he's a big guy.
he was
And
a big guy at
besides
the time.
putting me in the ankle lock, it wasn't that bad. But then he like tripped and fell on my ankle, and he had like all of his fat ass weight on my ankle, and it was twisted, and I thought it was breaking. And I was like, ah, and then I tapped him. Somehow, as soon as I tapped, he figured out how to get his ass off my ankle.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think he felt like it was working, so he just rolled with it. Although, here's what bothers me about the time, like, because it was our wrestling group, it was early on, but even early on, we didn't, like, really do stuff, so he should have been really trying to make you tap.
he wasn't until he fell on it.
Oh, I think that's what happened. He's like, wait, I could win this.
Probably.
That might be it. You still ended up winning.
I
It was.
feel you.
I feel you. But no, no, I don't want to talk too much about JJ. I don't want to anger the demon.
And by me saying his fat ass, that's not saying we're all
I'm extremely
we're some big people.
hefty, gravity inclined. I'm very gravity inclined.
I like that.
Thank you. But no, we talked about DW a minute ago, and there was really something that I was wanting to talk about, just because you know this story, I know this story. Not a whole lot of other people know this story.
Understood. Can I make one suggestion?
You can.
Just for the next time we do this.
Absolutely.
I've noticed the camera that's facing toward me
Yes.
That's like straight on. But you're over here, which means most of the time I'm like this.
Yeah.
So we're both getting like,
Side shots?
yeah, we're
Well,
both
we're
getting.
having conversations with each other.
Yes, we're both getting side shots, but maybe if there's, I don't know, if we could figure out a way to get more straight on type thing.
That's probably a good idea. We could do that next
Well,
time.
we're working on it.
Yeah, this is all work in progress. You know, it's hopefully by like episode 100 we get that far. Things will be looking better, sounding better, and
That people will be buying merch, and we will be hopefully sponsored by D's Nuts.
yeah, if we only get one sponsor, I hope it's D's Nuts
That's right.
or NOS. The blue can.
The blue can. That's
Only
right.
the blue can. So DW.
Yes.
So I've told this story recently. You know it, and you're probably tired of hearing it. Are you tired of hearing it?
Probably not.
Probably not. So you know what I'm talking. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I have a
Do
feeling
you have a feeling? So we've got this buddy.
deep down in the seat of my pants.
Yes, that's where you should be feeling it.
I don't want to feel anything would do with DW in my pants.
I mean, I heard a phone call that begs to differ.
You heard nothing. You you did your shit where you took me talking and
I
then
know not what you speak of. I know what he speaks of. But no. So we got this buddy named DW. Well, that's what we're gonna call him. He
when there's trouble you call DW.
anyways, yeah, he wrestled with us. I feel like everybody we talk about has wrestled with us. It's like every time we bring somebody up, it's like, oh, they wrestled with us.
Well, a lot of people did.
That's true. So yeah, he wrestled with us for a good long time, and I'm just gonna say every time I got into a match with him, if I got like we got real close, like I would smell a smell. A couple other people complained of the smell from here and there, but you know we were all like, I'm not gonna say we were all stinky and unhygienic by any chance.
Hygienic?
Hygienic by any means.
Hygienic?
Hygienic. There you go. But you know, sweaty people rolling around, you're gonna not smell good. But his stench was a little. There was a little more to it.
Like not just a little bit peeking out through deodorant and
Yeah, something was peeking out.
cut the kind where, you know, there might be a kid standing behind going, it's coming from him.
Shut up. Hey, I was a kid. I was a little kid. That was funny though. No, so one day we were. It was me, Vince, JJ, and DW, and we were driving. We were on our way to go wrestle, and we had to make a stop. And he, you know, DW got out of the car and he had to go do something. Meanwhile, me, Vince, and JJ are in the car, and we're all talking. We're like, oh, so Vince, yeah, you're going to have to wrestle DW today. He's like, damn it, I don't want to. It's like, why? He's like, he always smells so bad. I was like, well, yeah, it's probably because he doesn't wipe his ass. And then we all just started making jokes that he doesn't wipe his ass. That DW doesn't wipe his ass. I'll cut it.
It's going to be harder with the video. Well, you know what? You can just bleep it out.
Yeah, that'll work. Ha-ha. Anyway, so DW, we were talking about how DW doesn't wipe his ass. Anyway, so he comes back.
But seriously, do that. Don't.
No, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%. I'm not a total asshole. It'll be beeped. Bleeped.
Smeared.
We'll smear it out.
No, I was talking about your shit line.
Oh, yeah.
Your shit line smeared.
It is. It's I can't see shit through my shit line anymore. But no, so DW comes back in the car, and Vince said something along the lines of, you know, hey, I hope you wiped your ass today because, you know, we're going to be wrestling. And he was like, I did today. And we're like, what do you mean today? And then that's when he proceeded to tell us this story that you have to know this guy. Like, he doesn't just, like, bullshit around. Like, occasionally, but nothing elaborate. Like, if he's joking around, like, it's a one-liner.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, that's what it is.
Yeah, it's not like some big elaborate sun burns out at night type thing.
Right. Ironically. But he proceeded to tell us that you only have to wipe your ass once a week. Because the rest of the time, your sweat will build up throughout the day and keep your asshole clean. It'll, like, run down your crack. And, like, the friction of your cheeks rubbing together will clean it with the sweat. And we were disgusted and appalled and just, it's like, please tell us you're joking. He's like, no. It's like, dude. And like, we talked to him and everything. And from that moment on, DW wipes his ass every time he uses the bathroom. Hopefully. But
it's not completely his fault, though.
It's not. It's really not. It's the way you're brought up. It's the way you're raised.
And sometimes, if you may not have a lot at the time and people need to conserve, I could understand. I kind of felt bad for him for it.
I have been hard up. I will say this. I have been hard up. And there's been times that I've had to go without toilet paper. But, that will not stop me from not trying to be gross. But, not everybody grew up with money. I'd find an old sock. I'd find something.
And it gets thrown away afterwards.
Yeah, immediately. And if I can't find anything, it's shower time.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine, like, how itchy he must have been on a regular basis.
I don't know.
It's crazy. That's a DW story.
Yeah. I don't know. It feels wrong telling that and then being like, trying to get people to laugh about it at the same time, but then being like, but it, I mean.
No, it's just a story that, I like telling, not necessarily for comedic effect. I mean, sometimes, yeah. But for the most part, like, it's just something so unbelievable. Like, it's just hard to imagine that somebody could be brought up like that, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. But, I mean, you know how I grew up. I mean, I had it pretty rough a bunch of times.
You did.
There were multiple times. I remember around like middle schoolish time when we'd have a utility shut off, sometimes more than one at a time. Remember having to have the hose coming from the neighbor's house in the duplex in to fill up the toilet to flush that, or hang over the shower stall to get a shower, or the only food you have was like a garbage bag full of cans from the church and crappy little can opener that only did the triangles, where you're trying not to cut yourself while you're trying to eat your can of cream corn for dinner.
Yeah, that's rough.
So I've been there. I understand. I always wipe my ass, but I've been there.
I will say this. I remember a couple of times going to your house back on Ridge, and
it didn't have nearly as much there. Not that it didn't have.
I remember at least one or two times that the power was out. I don't know if the power was out. I think the power was out because, like, it was all dark,
Probably.
But even though at the time I was, like, still in my shy phase, not really talking to anybody, that was some of the best times I ever had.
Well, yeah.
It was fucking great.
Because no one was paying. Back then, it wasn't cell phones really, but everybody was stuck on whether watching a movie or playing the PlayStation or something.
Yeah.
And there was none of it. Everybody had to
just engage and talk.
Yeah.
I remember the Beacon game. Do you remember the Beacon game?
The Beacon game?
Yeah.
No.
Like where we had somebody had a lit cigarette, and it was the Beacon. You don't remember that?
No.
Fuck, I remember that.
What's that mean? What was the game?
I don't remember. It wasn't a game necessarily. It was just, it's like, where are you? I don't see your beacon. And somebody'd go,
oh, okay, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't really a game.
Yeah,
It was,
that sounds familiar.
yeah, but it was fun, dude. It was a good time.
Can't remember. Have I mentioned the penis parade?
I don't think you have on here. I know all about it. I wasn't there for it, but I know about it. But you should definitely talk about it.
Okay. The penis parade.
The penis parade.
Okay. My house was a house where everybody hung out. It just was. It was like the center. Like, everybody in our group would go to my house. And, it'd get to the point sometimes where it was insane. It'd be like, I'd go outside to hang out with people or whatever. I'd come back in. Everybody's already laying down for bed. And there were some times where there'd be like 3 people in my bed already.
I was going to say, wasn't there times where you didn't even get to sleep in your own bed?
Oh,
a lot?
I remember sleeping in the kitchen before.
Damn.
But, I mean, there was people like, who were sleeping in my bed, sleeping on the floor. Our friend Julie slept in the bathtub once. I remember our buddy Todd sleeping on top of the piano.
Didn't somebody sleep on top of hell?
hell was one of those big space heaters that they put in those project houses that are
The big metal ones, yeah.
Yeah, someone slept on top of hell.
Damn.
Not while it was on.
Right, no,
But yeah, and the people on the couches everywhere. And it's not that everybody was like all tore up even. It was just everybody was there.
yeah, people would come over and just stay up all night, like bullshitting around, playing video games, watching movies, just playing guitar, and just eventually crash out.
Yeah, and I mean, any given night, 15, 20 people sometimes.
Easy.
And it had got to the point where I was going insane with it.
And this is like a 2-bedroom house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got to the point where, like I said, I was going insane.
Yeah.
There was just people around all the damn time, and like I said, I had to find a place to sleep. There were sometimes I couldn't get people out of bed. Sometimes I just moved them over, and I lay down, or I slept in the kitchen. I was just over it.
Yeah.
After a while, and I remember asking Mom to ground me. She was like, "Are you serious?" And I was like, "Yeah, just ground me for a week, just so everybody leaves, and I can have some peace." Because I was like 15, 16, something.
I mean, think about it this way. I could imagine, like, because I didn't, like, my house at that time was just, me and my mom and my brother, my dad, and then it was just me and my mom. So I can't imagine what that's like, but...
You were there a lot.
Yeah, but I can't imagine what it's like that's just how it is every night when you try to go to sleep.
Oh, yeah.
But you had a lot of friends. You had a lot of friends.
Yeah.
Whole lot of friends. I mean, you were blessed in that,
Yeah.
in that area.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's a big group of people. It was nice. But, like I said, I got to the point where I had Mom ground me.
Yeah.
So I just wanted peace. And I remember I enjoyed that peace for about 2 days. And everybody was mad. They kept coming over the door, and she'd say I was grounded and nobody come in. And they were like, "Oh, come on." Because, again, that was their place to hang out. That was their escape from home, and they couldn't go. And it went that way for a while. Like I said, after about 2 days, I was like, yeah, no, I missed the noise.
You missed it?
After about 2 days, I had my finally getting sleep. And so,
For those of you who don't know, James just coughed.
I did. Well, you can see it. Anyway, so, that's all right. So, I guess the people can come back now, because I'm good now. She's like, "No, you're grounded for a week."
Holding firm.
I was like, "Are you serious?" She's like, "Yep."
You asked her to do it.
And then, after a while, I was like, "Well, can I have like 1 or 2 people in or something? I mean, this is crappy." And it wasn't just a bunch of guys. I mean, we had girls in the group, and I think Mom was kind of, over the quiet too. And so she was like, "I guess the girls can come back."
And you're
So I
probably
was
like, "That's fun.
"Okay."
I'm good with that."
I was.
Yeah, I would have bet.
I remember one particular night going to lay down in my bed, and 2 of the girls came in there, and one on each arm, and I just laid down and went, "This works."
You're like, this
No,
is
I mean,
all right.
I mean, nothing happened or anything, but I was just like, "This is a good way to sleep.
Yeah.
I'm good with this." And either way, the point is that the girls were over, and then the guys were getting really mad because they couldn't come in. And then Mom said that she wanted like a girls' night, because I guess she didn't have a lot of people, and these were other girls, so she was like, "We're all gonna hang out and we're gonna do our girly stuff." And I was like, "Yeah, but I don't want to leave." And she was like, "That's fine, you can stay in your room." And so I was like, "Well, okay, damn it." And then went back to my room, and there were people kept coming up to the door. The guys kept coming up and wanting to come in. They were like, "This is bullshit." And I went out and talked to them and explained all to them what's going on, and then we come up with a plan. And so I went back in to my room. Mom was like, "You gotta quit going in and out like that," because I was interrupting the girls' night. I was like, "Yeah, okay."
It's like, you just wait.
Yeah, so went back in my room. I started playing my bass really loud, where it would probably annoy them. And then I opened my window, and I remember I hit my string, let it ring out, held my arm out, and I don't remember who was at first, but helped them climb in the window. And then after that, they started helping everybody else climb in until we had, maybe 10 guys in my bedroom. And you would think that it was just like, oh, we're just going to sneak in and we're just going to hang out in here instead. But that was not the plan.
That was not the plan.
So we got ready, and then we got lined up across my room, and we opened the door really, really quietly, and then all of us completely dropped trow down to our ankles and started marching through the house, right through the living room where they were having their girls' night and stuff, going, power to the penis, power to the penis, power to the penis.
That is fantastic.
And the girls are sitting there like, oh my God, because there was just a bunch of half-naked guys, with shit just flopping everywhere, all marching across the living room. And then we were going to go through the living room and go to the kitchen and go out the back door, and the back door was locked. And the guy that was in front couldn't figure out how to unlock the door, so we were all just marching in place.
Just march back.
And still was doing all that, and yeah, and marched out the room. And then there were some of the girls that were just like, I can't believe that happened. And a couple other ones that were like, I can't believe it. Like, when a couple of them that's like boyfriends were like that were part of that, were just like, I can't believe you did that. You ruined the girls' night. And I was like, we didn't ruin it. We just made it exciting. I mean, if I was having a guys' night and a bunch of like half-naked chicks went walking through,
Yeah, that would amplify it.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
Vengeance to the vagina or whatever.
Vengeance to the vagina.
I don't know.
Tyranny of the tits.
Yeah, there you go. Either way,
Yeah.
the point is, half-naked girls went marching through the middle of a guys' night. I'd be like, huh.
That never happened.
I know, but if so, I imagine I'd be like, that was cool.
That should have happened.
It should have happened.
Did I ever tell you? I don't know why this reminded me of this, and I may have told you this story. I don't know. One of the girls that you were talking about, Julie.
Yes.
Did I ever tell you, like, way back when I had a crush on her?
Yes.
I did. I've told you the story.
Yes.
I hate the story, but it's funny.
The boobs?
No.
Oh.
No. Okay, so do you remember? Oh man, it wasn't the first time that I got drunk. I think it was the second time I got drunk, which was at your house as well.
Well.
I think my first 15 or 16 times was at your house.
Well.
But that was
we had fun.
we did. It was like
We had lots of fun.
It's like my second time getting drunk, and I ended up passing out in your bed. And before this happened, I forgot this part of the story. So there was a time where we had a buddy that was going to be going off to the Army.
Yes.
And there was a big party at his house before
Yeah.
that happened. Okay. So I remember it was me, you, Mike.
I don't remember where, but I saw pictures from that not that long ago.
It's on Facebook. Yeah, I
Oh.
don't remember who has the pictures, but
Okay.
yeah. But me, you, Mike, and Julie, I remember distinctly, were at your house, the apartment. And we stayed up all night, and we were staying up, and we were going to be going to this party at his house. At some point, because I had this huge crush on Julie, at some point, I had gone in the other room and I had written this letter. And I was like, I think you're cute, and blah, 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 and blah, 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 and I think you should be my girlfriend, and blah, blah. Like this big, drawn-out thing. And I was a virgin at the time.
Uh-huh.
And that's important for later. I did not have the balls to just give her the letter. So,
Okay.
her purse was in your room, and I just dropped it in her purse.
Oh.
And 3 days went by. I remember 3 days went by, and I had heard nothing. So I remember coming back over to the apartment. She was there, and she's like, "Hey, Dolph," and I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "Come with me into James's room," and I'm like, oh, "Yay!" I was excited. And she takes me back, and she's like, "I got your letter." She's like, "I am super flattered, but you were way too young for me and just not my type." I'm like, and I was, like, "Oh, it's okay, no big deal." But I was a little crushed, but it was fine. I got over it. Now we skip ahead, probably 4 months.
I wonder if that's why they call it a crush.
That's good. That's really good. 4 months later, I get drunk at your house.
Kind of like a minivan.
In a minute. I get drunk at your house, and I end up going into your room to pass out. And I'm laying in there, and I remember waking up briefly because I heard the door open, and Julie walks in. And she's like, "Hey, Dolph." And I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, would it like be completely weird if I slept in here with you? And I'm like, no, not at all. That's completely fine. You know, liquid courage going on and everything. And she's like, all right, cool. And she like laid down. And then she's like, do you care if I get a little close? And I'm like, I don't mind at all. And she got a little close. And then I like was like, you know, trying to, I didn't grope or anything like that, but I was like, you know, rubbing down her arm. She goes, hey, Dolph. And I'm like, yeah. She goes, it's not going to happen, buddy. I'm like, okay, cool. And then like 5 minutes went by and I was like, hey, Julie. She's like, yeah. And I'm like, what about now? And she's like, it's not going to happen, dude. And I'm like, okay. And then I remember getting a little excited in a certain area.
Uh-huh.
And I wasn't necessarily trying to poke, but I was poking. She goes, hey, Dolph. And I'm like, yeah. She goes, it's not going to happen. I'm like, okay. And I like backed off a little bit. And about that time, the same guy who had the going away party, he comes in with his girlfriend. He's like, hey, Dolph. I'm like, yeah. He goes, go to the couch. I'm like, but I'm laying down. He goes, not anymore. And so I left. And yeah, it was a sad story. It just didn't end up in favor to me. But it's funny. I can look back at it now. But no.
No, I thought you were talking about the boobs.
No, that's a completely separate thing. You know, I was like the only person who had not seen this girl's boobs.
It's not that she was like, you know, well, throwing it on everybody.
No.
Not by any means.
But there were just circumstances.
We'd party, and she was one of the people where boobs would come out.
Yeah, it just happened from time to time. But I was never there for it.
It was nice.
I was never there for it. And I remember just realizing that one day. And me and Hamill were sitting in your room on the bed, and Julie was in there. And she came in there, and she said something like, I think she bummed a cigarette or something. And before she walked away, I said, hey, Julie, can I say something? She goes, yeah, what's up? She goes, you know, I've never seen your boobs. And she goes, and you never will. Like, all mean-like. And I'm like, what the fuck? And she just left. And then, like, 2 years later, I remember going over to Anthony's house whenever they were staying with A.W. and Diane. Mm-hmm. And we were in the garage. We were playing Vampire. And Julie was out there. And she's like, Duff, have you really never seen my boobs? And I'm like,
just out of nowhere?
Yeah. And I was like, no. And she goes, and somebody told me that, like, you were mad at how I said you never will. She's like, you know, I was joking, right? And I'm like, didn't seem like a joke. And she's like, well, walk outside with me. And I'm like, okay. And walked out there, and she's like, here you go. And she just flashed me. And I remember thinking, there we go. It's about damn time. About damn time. And I went in and played Vampire. I was satisfied.
Yeah, that makes for a good night.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah. What? No, you look like you're thinking about something.
No, those were just good times back then. I remember, like I said, it was never, like...
It's never dull.
Let's just say Julie. We can talk about Julie a little bit.
Yeah,
we
Julie's
already
fine.
have been. But, like I said, like, me and her never had anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? We were friends. That was it. But I see her boobs all the time. I've played with her boobs lots of times. But it was never in, like, a, you know...
sexual way.
Which sounds weird.
It doesn't. It doesn't. Not for that time.
No, but it's like, well, you knew what it was like. But I like, distinctly remember,
Did I?
like, one time sitting there in the living room, and Julie walked in, and she came over, and there was nowhere to sit, so she just came over and sat on my lap. And I just immediately, you know, reached my hands up her shirt and under her bra and just grabbed her boobs. It's like,
and not in a kind of not a shitty, like,
no,
just it was expected back then.
Yeah, kind of. It was back then. I was just like, hey, Julie. She was like, hey, James. I was like, how you doing? And she was like, well, you know, I'm a little warm. And I was like, yeah, it is a little nipply, isn't it?
That's funny.
And she's like, it seems to be so. But, I mean, again, it was expected. It was not a thing.
Mm-mm.
But it was weird. Like I said, I'd do that. But it was weird, playful in a weird way. There was never any...
It was just a friend thing.
Yeah, there was never any tension. It's not like you know, it wasn't anything weird.
No.
Which is kind of weird.
It's kind of weird.
But, I mean...
But it's just how it was back then.
Kind of.
It really was. I mean, that's just how it was. It was a good time.
I remember people like, I mean, not Julie in particular, but I remember Other girls or get there on like New Year's Eve that would just like take off shirts and just be sitting there with boobs out, just sitting in the living room.
Yeah. No, I remember that too.
And again, it wasn't like they was like they were sitting there next to their boyfriend.
Yeah. It just happened. It was just one of those things that, like, when it happened, you know, not gonna lie, like most of the guys are like, hell yeah, but it's not like it was. It's not like it was like a phenomenon. Like, you know, it's like, oh, why is this happening? I'm so happy. It was like, oh, hey, look, oops.
I remember there was back then in those times the from back then.
Gotcha.
I remember her once she had split up from our buddy.
Mm-hmm.
She disappeared, and then she showed up like a year later, and she had implants.
Yeah.
And she was just like, "You want to see my boobs?" And she just like pull them out, and then she's like, "Touch them."
She was proud of him.
Yeah, and then she's like, "Everybody feel." And I was like, "Oh, okay,
Like, well, all right.
That's a boob."
That's funny. What?
I don't know. It's just, I wonder how
normal this actually is.
Yes.
With like other groups of friends.
Yeah.
I'm curious too.
Because
I'm very curious.
You got to admit, I mean, it like you said, it happened all the time. It wasn't like just
All
every
the
now
time.
and then type thing.
It was all the time.
That was life.
It was.
It was just people sleeping everywhere, and a lot of people were sleeping with a lot of other people, but there was that going on, and there were boobs everywhere.
All I know is that my brother, because you were friends with my brother first, and I remember tagging along once I was like not an annoying little shit anymore, to your house on Ridge. And the only reason I tagged along, because Joe was going to work. He was going to Charlestown.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to hang out with my buddies in Charlestown, but they weren't going to be awake for like hours. And Joe was like, well, I can drop you off at James's. Somebody's awake. Which so Joe drops me off there, and I'm like sitting on the couch.
He would just come over and sit on the couch for like 2 hours and not say one word to anybody.
I was extremely shy.
He'd just sit there and go, smoke a cigarette, not say anything to anybody, and then just stand up and leave.
But I remember like going over there for the first time after I had settled down, and was like, I was just observing. I was just observing everything that was happening. And I remember thinking, I need to be here more often. I was like, this place is awesome. And I remember like, I started like drifting, like from my main core friend group at the time. I was spending less time with them and more time with you guys.
Well,
And
there was never a dull moment.
No. Like, even when there wasn't a whole lot of people there, which was very, very seldom, but it was always a good time. I always had a good time. I remember I always went home going, I wish I'd have stayed a little bit longer. I bet something's popping off right now. Something's happening. I'm missing something.
And he was.
Yeah. I'll never forget, dude. Like, I will never forget, like, when we started our wrestling thing and we, like, merged my friends with your friends, you know, and we were doing that. I was at every single wrestling thing we ever did, except for one. Because I didn't know about it. And if I'd have known about it, I'd have been there. But, like, they had, in his backyard on Ridge, they had this one night, they did a big wrestling thing. And
we had a ring that was made up, we had, like, stacks of tires, and then we had my futon frame completely laid out flat on top of that, with like a bunch of like big long limbs also, and then mattresses.
But I'm talking about the one that was directly behind the house, up against the house.
Yeah, we set that up like that.
Oh, okay, all right. But yeah, no. So I remember like going over to James's one day, and like he was like, "Hey, you want to see this tape? You want to see what we did the other day?" And I'm like, "What?" And I hear I'm watching like, you know, this big like free for all wrestling match happening with like James and Quentin and JJ and fucking.
Iceman.
Yeah.
Cameron.
Little, and like then I see them like climbing a ladder and getting on the roof and like jumping off and shit. I'm like, nobody called me. Why did nobody call me? Like, how did this happen? Like, and I wasn't a part of it.
We did. I gave him a rock bottom off the roof.
Okay.
I went to choke slam little David off the roof, and he kicked me in the balls, and I fell off. And then he did a swanton off the roof onto me, onto the...
And I remember hearing that impact, like, his back to your chest. on the
He
video.
did it good though. He didn't.
Yeah,
he
it was
didn't
good.
He didn't like flop me or anything.
Yeah.
He did it right.
It was good.
But we did it.
That was the only time jumping off roofs ever happened, and I wasn't a part of it. It makes me so sad.
Jumping off actual roofs, yes.
Yes, jumping off actual roofs.
But we had stuff from jumping off the tree and stuff like that when we had it back in the woods.
Yeah. Craziness.
We did all. Remember how much we practiced for tipping over ladders, and we've never actually got to do that in a match.
I know, it's ridiculous.
We had this it was like a 15-foot tall ladder. It was really big. And we practiced for it was only like one day really, but we did it for hours figuring out how to be on top of that ladder and get that ladder tipped over and not die.
Yeah.
Because we weren't in a ring or anything. We were just out on the ground.
You know what I thought about recently? We talked about how because we had to carry everybody else that we never got to tag team and team up, and we did it at our last show, which was cool. But do you know what I thought about? We also, for the longest time, didn't get the opportunity to have more matches against each other, because when we had a match card, we had to put you against DW or you against Vince or and me against JJ or me against Nick.
Yeah.
We didn't really get to.
Well, we didn't have a lot of it then, which is why when we had our big show, we had to do that then.
I just feel like,
because we knew if we had to have a main event for our big show that we were working toward all year, we had to put a good main event.
dude, I really feel like if me and you, because I had a brief moment in the Indies, very, very brief, extremely brief, nothing to speak of. But I've always felt like if you and I could have went to the Indies and got people to let us work each other, I think we could have been good. I really do.
Yeah, probably.
I really do. We had good chemistry. We always knew what the other one wanted to do for the most part.
We didn't have very many hiccups.
No, we communicated well. I felt,
and even when we did, we could figure out how to play it off and keep going.
Yeah. I always thought that our matches were the best, which they were. And that's not to speak, ill of everybody else.
No, it's just compared to everybody else, we've been doing it
The
pretty
longest.
much the longest. And I think we took it more seriously than a lot of the other people.
We did. I mean, hell, there were times where it was just me and you.
Well, I mean, that was the other thing. While everybody else would, they'd show up for a show. They would do their stuff. And this was before training even.
Mm-hmm.
They would show up for a show, and they would do their match, go home. And then they'd show up for the next one, the next week. Whereas back then when we were first really starting, me and you were out there almost every day.
We were.
Practicing stuff. We were figuring out the best way to do stuff, how to... because we were doing this on the bare ground most of the time, so we had to figure out how to do that, make it look good, and not kill each other.
Do you remember your orange safety pin armbands?
Yes.
Yep.
And surprisingly, they didn't go bad.
Yeah, and it could have been. It could have been really bad.
I had made some Jeff Hardy armbands, cut holes in them, but I didn't have a needle and thread or anything to sew them up.
Yeah.
So the entire seam was held together with safety pins on both of them.
All up and down.
And occasionally one of them would come apart, but it never stabbed anybody. Or
Which is
me,
insane.
surprisingly.
If you think about it, it's absolutely insane that it didn't happen. It's crazy. It's also insane that we never really had a serious injury.
The closest thing, I think the worst injury was me that last time when we were talking about. The really bad concussion and partially torn meniscus in my knee. Oh, and from when I got thrown out of the ring, I had 2 bulging discs from, grabbing onto the rope like a dumbass and slingshotting back and hitting my back on the corner. Don't ever hit on the corner of a ring apron.
No.
It's bad.
It makes a loud thump, too.
I mean,
It
I
sounded
know
good.
a lot of people are doing a lot more spots on the apron now, which is just scary as shit.
It is.
But mine was really bad just because I landed on the corner of it instead of flat on the top, which is bad enough.
I was going to say the 2 worst things that happened to me was when you gave me that big FU.
Oh, and you tweaked your ankle?
Yeah, and I had a severely sprained ankle. That shit hurt. Probably the worst thing, though, was when I was in a match with JJ Volger. And we had a spot where he was supposed to FU me, or not FU me, I'm sorry, wasteland me on top of a dryer that we had outside. And then like he picked me up, and then he like dropped me, and it didn't work. And I'm like, do it again, come on. And he got me up, and he slammed me really hard on the fucking corner, like dead center of my spine. And I was like, all right, dude, and I started tapping out. I'm like, I don't have time for him to pin me. This hurts like hell. I'm going in. I remember going in. I was in a lot of pain. It wasn't until the next morning, though. Next morning, I was in so much pain. My back was fully out. I was hunched over for like almost a week. Just could not walk. I was just hunched over like an old man. And my wife was like, you know, you need to go to the hospital. I was like, I'll be fine. She's like, you say that, you're probably completely fucked up. I'm like, I'll be fine. She's like, what if you're not? I was like, if it's not better by the end of the week, I will go to the hospital. And luckily, it got better. But damn, it hurt. Hurt so bad. He's the demon.
Yeah. What really sucked about that tweaked ankle thing was we waited. We were the main event for that show too.
We
it
were
was like one of our first big shows that we did.
Yeah, and we had so many spots that didn't happen.
We had the hot dog cart there. We had all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, we had this whole big long thing planned out, and it was going to be long, and that was only like 3 or 4 minutes into it.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't long into the match at all. And then like, I really wanted to wrap up and go to the hospital. But, like, we had to, like, you know, crutch me back out. So
and that was the first time we had got barbed wire.
Yeah.
And I'd spent a lot of money on that. And it's like, I'm hitting you at least one time with that.
Yeah, like, so, like he fucked my ankle up. I'm like, I'm done. I stayed down for the 10 count. It was the last man standing. And he's like, no, fuck this. I'm hitting you with some barbed wire. Like,
I spent a lot of money on that.
Yeah.
I couldn't find I had to buy a whole spool.
Yeah. So he, like, goes in the back, grabs this, like, stick, like this branch, like this tree branch that he had wrapped up in barbed wire, and he just comes out and just smacks me with it and, like, slowly pulls it off my shirt. And the whole time, I'm wanting to leave and go to the hospital and get my ankle. I thought it was broken. I did. And then people were like, no, you got to come back out, show, because we had kids in the audience, and we were trying to make sure that they weren't going to, like, try this stuff at home. So they wanted me to come back out and, like, show them my ankle, which was all, like, purple and shit, and swollen. And I was just like, are we done? We're done? Can I go? I was surprised to learn it wasn't broken.
Yeah, it was just the angle. You came down wrong. You had all your weight come down on that ankle.
It's a lot of weight.
Not as much as there is now, but
that's true.
I'm trying to be mean, but I mean,
I like gained a whole other person. It's true. It's true.
I'll become another person.
Become another person.
I love that movie.
It's good. But no, man, yeah, we had a lot of good times doing the wrestling thing. We had a lot of good times hanging out in the apartment, dude. When Keenan was over last time for his episode, like before the episode started, he picked up this, and he was like, "Oh man, this is cool. This is cool."
2007.
Yeah, and I was like, "You know what's even cooler than this?" And he's like, "What?" And I opened it, and I was like, "This."
Oh, that is even cooler.
This is even cooler than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a SmackDown, Here Comes the Pain. And,
yeah.
Dude, I have so many fond memories of, like, being at your house and, like, us getting the multi-tap.
You know, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be, but if I'm not, I believe I still have a GameCube memory card with our Day of Reckoning people.
No.
I believe I still have,
Do you really?
Dunikoth and everybody.
Really?
I believe so.
Oh, man. That would be awesome to play.
I'm almost positive. I'd have to find it.
Good old Tunikov.
Stop with the tuna.
Tunikov.
Duna. It's with a D, not a T.
Tuna starts with a T.
You just got mad because he was awesome.
He was all right. He was cool. Didn't he have like wasn't both of his specials like running specials?
No.
One was.
Yeah, he had a running big boot.
That's right. Running big boot.
But I would do that into a corner.
And
and then I had like the Undertaker punches as another special in the corner. And then as soon as they would come out, when you do that, they'd like step out of the corner and be standing, and then I could get a front special, which was like some big brain buster looking thing.
Yeah.
But I could end up doing like 7 or 8 specials on one, finishers on one special bar with that.
Man, that was a great game too. I was telling Logan the other day about Day of Reckoning because we were watching a YouTube video. This guy was like rating the covers of all these games, all these wrestling games.
Covers.
Yeah, no. And he got to Day of Reckoning, and I was like, I don't care what he says about the cover. That is a fantastic game. I was like, that is one of the best games. Like, the best game is Here Comes the Pain, in my opinion. But Day of Reckoning, definitely good.
Day of Reckoning, in my opinion, is right there.
Yeah.
I'd still prefer Here Comes the Pain, but Day of Reckoning is right there. And I still have a really sweet spot for
Raw
WrestleMania
2.
19.
Oh, WrestleMania 19 is good, too.
Just because of the story mode, or the revenge mode.
I have to say that I have a special spot for Raw 2. Not because of the mechanics, because the mechanics are kind of garbage.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But it was a lot of fun. And
I
it
like
was
being that it had that multiplayer story mode, and you could keep setting traps and like dropping
Yeah.
boxes on people's heads all the time.
there was that, and the fact that you could. There was something cool about being able to upload your own music.
Yeah,
and
the
use
custom
it.
music that you would
And the
save
entrances.
onto the Xbox, and then, yeah, that was one of the first really detailed entrance maker where
Yep.
you could wait how long from the time the music started before you'd walk out, exactly
Make a
what time
pyro.
you wanted the pyros to go,
Mm-hmm.
and Ninja Diving Headbutts.
The Ninja Diving Headbutt is the most fantastic thing ever.
It was just like, you would cross your arms, jump up in the air, and then come down straight up and down, head down onto somebody.
Yeah.
So we constantly try to do that from on top of the Hell in a Cells.
Yeah, and it's something that, like,
I don't think it hardly ever hit.
no, it never hit. I don't think it ever hit.
I don't know if it did or not,
I don't think it never hit for me. I know that.
but we do it. Everybody had to have it.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
But, like I said, WrestleMania 19. The
Very
revenge
good
mode.
game. Yeah.
Well, it plays almost exactly the same as Day of Reckoning. Pretty much the same control scheme.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the story mode / revenge mode. On that, they had the 5 different areas, and each time you picked one, it would give you an objective. And most of the time, it was kill this many people.
Right.
And I mean kill people, because you'd be like at the construction yard, and you'd climb up this like 20-foot ladder, be up on this girder like way up top, and then you have to like choke slam people off
of it, yeah.
And there's no way. I mean, they
No.
were killing people. And then, like in the parking garage, you'd have to jump on the chains and swing across the chain to grab another chain, basically doing some Donkey Kong Country shit, trying to get to the other side.
Yeah.
While people behind you are swinging and trying to knock you off of there. And if you fall down into traffic, and if you get hit by a car, you die.
Yeah.
It was like, what kind of wrestling game is this?
A good wrestling game.
I mean, it wasn't, Fight for New York.
Fight for New York was so good, too.
Def Jam Fight for New York is amazing.
Such a good
I'd
game.
say it might be a little bit more of a fighting game than a wrestling game, but it still had a full, it still played like a wrestling game.
It really
had
did.
That kind of countering system going on.
Mhm.
It had a full grapple system involved in it, but
The
just
specials were so cool.
still.
Yeah. Do you have it? You do.
I have. Well, okay, I have an old copy on GameCube. I'm pretty sure I have most of our people still.
Oh.
Again. And I have but that one's in like a GameStop case. But I have a complete version of it on regular Xbox.
Wow.
I had to piece that out. I got a disc from somewhere, and then got the case from somewhere, and a book from somewhere, just to get it together.
To get it complete.
But it's nice.
That's cool. Oh, we need to get together sometime and play some Fight for New York and some Day of Reckoning.
I got. I was gonna say, I got the PlayStation in there. I got Tekken 8 in there.
I haven't played it yet. I've heard it's good.
I think, yeah. It's late though.
It is very late. Yeah.
But yeah, I got 8. It's funny. I have it. I don't think I've played it yet either.
Really?
Yeah.
I've heard Vince talk about it like a lot. He said it's really, really good.
I've heard great things about it, but I still haven't played it yet.
I love 7. 7 is really good.
I love 5.
You like 5?
I love 5.
5's good. It's not bad. I like 6.
6 is okay.
6 is good.
6 is okay.
Just okay.
I think
I like
better.
Tekken 2.
I got Tekken 2 in there.
I love Tekken. Really, like a classic version.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Yeah, Tekken 2's on there. It's on my PlayStation
So,
right now.
You know how like PS5 is like coming out with these like remastered games.
Yes, sir.
You know what one I'm waiting for? I'm hoping they do. They probably won't. But
What?
Sony, if you're listening,
What?
Twisted Metal 2.
Oh, if they redid 2,
Yeah,
I got
so good.
Parappa 1 and 2 on there also.
I know. I love Parappa.
I love landing.
I do too. It's great.
Oh.
The airplane stage is my favorite. I thought milk was pink.
Or what the milk was pink once you get to the Parappa levels in Lammy.
Yeah.
I remember that I remember you playing Lammy and liking it, and then I remember going, did you know if you beat this, you got Parappa levels? And
I was happy. I was excited. No, so Corey, this was several years ago. I'd say 2016. Corey had gotten a hold of a PS2, and we ended up going to Hollywood Video and Games, and he bought some games, and I had a little bit of money, and I'm like, it's like, Corey, have you ever played Jeremy Lamb? And he goes, I've never even heard of that. I'm like,
also got Twisted Metal 2 on there.
Son of a bitch. Oh, I'm tempted. Well, guys, this has been a good episode. No. But no, I was like, have you ever played Jeremy Lamb? And he's like, dude, I've never even heard of that. I'm like, oh. So we bought it. And
most of the time you can find it for decently cheap.
Yeah, it was cheap.
I think the last time I bought one, and it was complete and everything, I paid $10 for it.
And I watched him, like, try on the first level. And he was, like, just not doing well, and he eventually just failed. And he's like, dude, this is hard. And I'm like, I wonder if I can still do it. And, dude, it was like it never stopped. It's like I had never put the controller down. Can
I say something, though?
Yeah.
It always annoys the piss out of me how you play those games.
Why?
Okay.
I'm curious.
For people who haven't played these games, I'm going to go ahead and say this ahead of time. They're very rhythm-based. It'll have all the X, triangle, square, and circle going across.
Oh, I know what you're going to say. I do that to get it on Cool Quick.
And you're going to you do that, and the thing is, if you do it perfectly on time, you'll get good points.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do other things, if you push buttons repeatedly or stuff like that, then you can get better scores, and you can get to cool rank, and good stuff happens on cool, and you'll definitely beat the level and get more points. With Parappa, that's one thing, because it's really hard to make something sound good on Parappa. But when I play those games, and I might not get cool every time, but my guitar lines always sound good. That's the thing. If I'm doing extra things or doing it fast, it sounds right.
Yeah.
It sounds like it should be there, and everything sounds good. And when you go, you're just like pushing buttons as fast as you can, and it works for you, but it sounds like shit.
But it works.
But it sounds like shit.
But it works.
But it sounds like shit.
Okay.
And there are music rhythm games.
Yeah.
And you were making it sound bad.
But it works.
It does work. But it sounds bad.
Okay.
And
that's a fair
I
point.
Can't help it.
That's a fair point.
It just annoys
How
me.
long have you been holding on to that?
How long has it been since I've seen you do that?
That's true. That's funny.
It just annoys the piss out of me.
But it works.
But it doesn't sound good.
That's fair. That's fair.
I can't help it. You know that. I mean, I hear it.
I can hear it too, but I just know it works.
It does work, but the thing is, I can get it to work too on a lot of levels. Not all of them, but I can get it to work too and make it sound good.
Yeah.
It's almost like I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
You were going to call it a cheat code, weren't you?
No. It's
Okay.
Not that. It's not a cheat code.
It's not a cheat code.
But if it says anything, I'm also one of those people who I will play a Grand Theft Auto game and never put in a cheat code. Just because I know everybody does constantly. And don't get me wrong, I know you can have fun with it, because I remember back in the day, playing Vice City and putting in codes all the time, and it's fun. But then everybody was like, man, you need these codes. It's almost impossible to do this without this. And I was like, hold on. And then after I beat that without using a code, then when San Andreas came out, I was like, I got this.
Yeah.
And for me, I get a sense of accomplishment, because everybody else can do all that, but it's like I'm working my ass off and doing this the right way, and I feel better about it in the long run.
I feel like the jump from Vice City to San Andreas was huge.
Oh yeah, it was drastic.
It was huge.
It's like, oh my God, I can swim.
Yeah.
That's even a big difference.
Huge.
It's like Tommy fucking touch water with his big toe and die.
Yeah. I mean, it was just this huge difference. And then like 5 came out.
4.
Well, yeah, I never played 4.
Really?
No, I never played 4.
4 is okay. 4 is really good.
Mm-hmm.
The only problem, and I mean, the only problem with the have 4 is, for me at least, the car physics seem just a little off.
Really?
But I think that's because that was the first one that put gas on the right trigger.
Oh,
like,
gotcha.
Like the newer ones. And for me, it just feels weird.
Yeah, because
Like
it used to be
when
X.
when you were used to playing the old ones and then you make that switch, it feels weird.
Yeah.
And it's like the cars that were the first ones where the cars felt weighty, and you know, you couldn't make super sharp turns. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You'd have to really put on brake or slide around stuff.
Yeah.
I got used to it after a while, but the story and the world and everything for 4 is actually really good.
I'll have to check 4
It was
out.
also the first time where you had your cell phone where you could just call people up and do all that. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, I love 5. I
Mhm.
do. 5 is really good. Everyone's talking about 6 coming out, and I'd
it
be.
looks pretty.
I mean, it does, but I'd be fine if it never did. Like, I want to play it, obviously, but 5 is just good on its own.
I know you didn't you play some Red Dead with us online for a while?
I played it recently. Yeah, I don't have Plus right now, but I mean I've been playing story mode here lately.
I was going to say
It's so good.
That game is so good.
It is so good. I love it.
It almost feels like a movie at times.
It does.
And that's great.
It does.
I love anything where you can, like that, you don't have to do anything. It's like you can even stop doing the story and just go around doing stuff and then make your campfire at night. And
Well, dude, the funny thing is like I'm not a story mode person. Like when I play 5, like when I play GTA, I just bullshit around.
Mhm.
Like I don't do the missions. I don't do
Yeah.
shit. I just bullshit around. Never been interested in doing storyline when it comes to GTA. But yeah, with Red Dead, I've been doing the story mode, and I've been having a really good time with it. Now I'm progressing slowly because I'm really not much of a gamer, but I'm having a good time. I'm enjoying it.
well, the even the stories on Grand Theft Auto, like if you actually played through 5, once you get a couple hours into it, it gets. I think it gets really fun.
I mean, I've done a few. I've done a few
But
missions.
once you get, like I said, hours into it, like when you get your 3 people, and at any point you can push your button and switch to the other person. You like switch to Trevor, and all of a sudden he's like climbing out of a dumpster, or you know, you switch over and he's like banging a hooker somewhere,
That's
and
funny.
you're like, okay,
So when I say I've done missions, not story mode, like online missions.
uh huh.
So I've not done one story mode mission.
Should
I?
5's good.
Okay, I'll give it a shot.
5 is good. There's a reason that they keep remaking it instead of making a new one for
Yeah.
that long. And it wasn't just all the money they were making online. It was just good.
I mean, I imagine they're making a lot of money.
Have you ever spent much time like on all the custom stuff online?
I've spent money on GTA 5.
I mean, but all like the custom races
Yeah.
and the stuff that people make
Yeah.
and everything, because that's some fun shit too.
Yeah. Speaking of money, just want to put this out there. If you guys want to, you should check our website
Right.
at www.rigamarolepodcast.com and get some merch
Yeah, from the hamburger.
on the top right hand side.
That's right.
That's right.
And more stuff.
And more stuff, yeah.
And merch and all that other
That's
stuff.
right.
With the fake ass hamburger.
Hey, it's fine.
Still.
You know, our bumper at the beginning of this episode, like at the beginning of all the episodes now, is like 2 minutes long.
Yeah. But it's amusing. I thought it was amusing.
I thought it was good. It was fun. You remember how many takes that was?
Too many.
Way too many. It was funny.
Too many.
Yeah. So, we finally told the Two Shanes story last episode.
Yeah.
So we don't have anything to hang over the heads of people who were like, you know, waiting on a story.
And it's funny because, I mean, it's not exactly a 2 Chainz story.
Not really.
It is, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not like, we stopped all that from going on or whatnot, and then he was out and he's like, hey man, thank y'all for saving my chains. I didn't want to be no chains. It wasn't like that.
We should have told him. You should have walked up and be like, hey, dude.
We didn't know until afterwards.
That's
remember?
true. Yeah.
We
That's
didn't know
true.
until days later that
He should have emailed him. It's like, hey, 2 Chainz. You still got your 2 Chainz? That's because of me. He'd be like, well, I heard it was because of them cops. Like, no.
they lied.
They lied.
Dirty cops.
Dirty cops. They were.
Kinda. They were.
They were. Do you remember me, you, and me in my car getting off work at Phoenix Hill, getting pulled over like almost immediately after leaving?
Yep.
And then spending, what was it, like an hour and a half on the side of the road?
Was it that long?
It was a long time.
Seemed like a long time.
It was a long time. So we got off work and I got pulled over because my brake light was out or some shit. And I'm in my Phoenix Hill shirt.
You should probably do another one of those bleepy things.
Why?
Just for this story, for the other person's name.
Gotcha. So I'm in my Phoenix Hill shirt. He's in his Phoenix Hill shirt. Our other buddy in the back seat is in his Phoenix Hill shirt. We have our name tags on. And this cop's like, "What are you doing out this late?" It's like, "We just got off work." "Where you work?" Phoenix Hill." "You been drinking tonight?" "No."
We were working.
"We were working. We just got off work." "All right."
You got anything in the car?
It's like, "No, I have nothing in the car." And like, he asked me to get out of the car. He wanted me to ask for my license, registration, all that. Then we all had to get out of the car.
One by one.
Yeah.
Well, he got you out first.
Yeah.
And then he like patted you down, did all that stuff.
Yeah.
And set you down on the road.
Yeah.
And they got me out.
Yeah, and then they patted James down and sat him down on the curb. Did the same thing with our other buddy. And then they proceeded to search my car.
Uh-huh.
And they're like, was ransacking the trunk and everything. And eventually they were just like, well, one buddy had, he had medicine in a bottle that was not the bottle for that medicine.
Yeah, but it was his medicine.
But it was his medicine. Like, he just had it in a different bottle. And the bottle even had his name on it. But either way, so he got in trouble. Like, he was like, you've got a court date, blah, blah, blah. I think it's funny that you had a blunt in your back pocket, and they did not find it.
Yes, I had confiscated that.
Yeah,
for personal use because I was younger and I did that stuff back then.
Yeah,
no longer.
Not that there's really anything wrong with it.
No, but no longer.
Right.
I can't. I am a responsible individual.
You are,
and I can't do that.
But anyway, so.
But also, that other buddy, he had one too.
Yeah, he did.
They found his.
They did find his.
See, because this is the thing. He had his in the cigarette pack.
Yeah.
And
which is not where you want to put one.
Kind of like I said in that last episode, we were talking about, bouncing and doing other stuff. We found out the places where people were hiding stuff. And one of the places I found was...
cigarette packs.
Well, that was everywhere.
Yeah.
So when I got mine, I laid it long ways.
Yeah, on the seam of your pocket in the back pocket.
Yeah. In the back pockets, I figured if it broke, I'd just fix it when I got home.
Mm-hmm.
But I would just lay it down there along that seam because I found one like that before. But you couldn't really feel it. You feel the seam for the pants. And so I was back there, and they got me out and started patting me down. I was like, oh, God, oh, God, oh, God, oh, God. And then all of a sudden, they were like, you sit down. I was like, what? What? Okay. And so my heart's all sitting down, and then I got out our other buddy, and they were like, what's in here? They're like, nothing. And then he was like, oh, really? And I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
And then all that, and then so they took all his stuff, and everybody was mad. And your rule at the time was you didn't care what people transported as long as you didn't know about it.
I didn't want to know about it. Didn't want to know about it.
It was all on whoever had it.
Yep.
And so I remember I didn't say anything until you were dropping us off.
Oh, I know.
As I got out of the car.
And I was like, damn it, James.
As I was getting out of the car.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need this now. My nerves are shot.
Man.
And I did. And
it was a good time.
And it was good.
It was good.
It was good.
But no, I don't know, man. Some crazy things happened. But, dude, do you remember also getting off at, I don't remember, it was Porter's or Phoenix Hill. It's just me and you, and we were driving. It was my car, and we were like almost across the bridge, and I ran out of gas.
Yes.
And you remember like the cops showing up and be like, what's going on? It's like, oh, ran out of gas. His stepdad's on the way to, help push us to the gas station, buy some gas. He's like, I got you. And he called for backup.
Yeah.
The other car showed up with the little Ram on the front and pushed us to the gas station.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
I also remember us just getting across the bridge into Jeff and getting pulled over and them breathalyzing you.
I remember that too.
Just because we were wearing bar shirts and they assumed that meant that we were drinking.
Dude, I have been breathalyzed I don't know how many times, and never during those times.
I don't believe I ever have.
I've been breathalyzed a lot, and it's funny, like, because I'm not going to lie. I don't condone it. I don't do it now. But I have driven drunk I don't know how many times. So many.
Again, in the past.
In the past. But the times that I've been pulled over was every time was when I was sober. And breathalyzed when I was sober. And I'm just like, why am I getting breathalyzed all the time?
Do you remember Salt and Pepper?
I remember Salt and Pepper. That was weird how that happened.
We were leaving Phoenix Hill one night.
Yeah.
And we were going through downtown Louisville, getting ready to come back across the bridge into Indiana. And we stopped at a light. And there was a black lady and a white lady standing there.
Yep.
And they were very much prostitutes, but we didn't realize
we didn't know that. The white lady approached the car first.
Yeah, and they're like, hey, can y'all give us some help real quick?
She was like, I need help. I need, please help us. I'm like, what do you need? What do you need? You're like, what's going on?
And they wanted to make a phone call.
Yeah.
And you didn't want to let them have the phone.
Well, no.
Yeah, so you were like, you just give me the number, I'll put it on speaker. And they're like, no, just hand me the phone. We're like, no, that's not how this is going to work.
Yeah.
It's like, if you need it that bad, you tell me the number, I'll put it on speakerphone. And they were like, no. And they just argued back and forth for like, I don't know. I mean, the light had already turned red.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Green.
Turned green and then turned red again, I think.
Yeah.
And we were still just talking to him, and you're finally like, look, if you're not going to let me do this, we can't help. And then all pretenses for the phone left, and I think it was the black was just like, y'all looking for some salt and pepper tonight?
Yep.
And you looked at me like horrified, and then just looked forward and stomped on the gas and went, and then, you motherfuckers.
Yeah. So like, I'm gonna point this out. I just want to put this out there. I don't have a problem with a woman who wants to make a living that way. I really don't. It's her body. It's her choice. It should be.
Mm-hmm.
Do it safely as possible. Me personally, I don't want to partake in that. Just because it has nothing to do with like, male ego going, I don't pay for sex. I don't pay for sex. But it has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with the fact that
other people are doing it.
I'm paranoid. I am a super paranoid person, especially when it comes to health stuff. And I've always just been like, yeah, it'd be my luck. I'll take a girl up on that, and I'll end up with, like, the bad stuff.
I'll be straight up. I've never done it.
I've never done it.
Never have. I was always more worried about it being some kind of vice thing.
Oh, like getting caught?
I was always more worried about that than it was catching anything.
Yeah.
Like, I remember...
You were worried about catching something, catching a charge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember hearing that one of the massage parlors down in Jeffersonville was...
The big sting operation?
Was what was before that.
Yeah.
I remember hearing that they were like one of those good places, and
yeah.
I was like... where you get like happy endings and stuff.
And you're like, maybe I'll go to that.
I remember briefly thinking about it and just going, that might be good.
Be glad you didn't.
Because at least that's, I don't know, there's something about professional environment that just seems a little safer. And I thought about it, and then the next thing I know, I heard that they had a big sting operation and they were shutting them down and there were people in jail, and I was like, thank God.
Yeah. Yeah. Man. No, I've never paid for it. Never really gave it any real thought. I will say there was a time that I don't want to say that I was addicted. I don't think I was addicted, but there was a time where me and a small group of buddies were hitting the strip clubs on a very regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
You went a couple times, didn't you?
I used to. I don't think me and you ever went together.
No, me and you have never gone together. The first time I went, it was for my 18th birthday. The buddy who went away to the Army.
We're both in very long-term relationships right now. Maybe we should grab our people and we'll all go as a group.
I don't know about that.
Everybody likes boobs.
I don't know about that. But
I used to go with my ex-wife.
Yeah.
We'd go together.
I will say this.
She liked looking. She just didn't like when they would shove boobs in her face. She was like, I didn't want that.
Yeah, the very first time I went, it was funny. Very first time I went was with the buddy who went to the Army,
mm-hmm.
and the buddy that was in the back of the car that we were just talking about.
Right.
Right. And I didn't know we were going. Like, I remember going over to your house And this was during my. Do you remember my goth phase where I was wearing like the trip
Yes,
pants? Okay,
yes, I do.
so I came over to your house. I was wearing my
That's
trip.
when instead of being creeper, you were dark creeper.
It was dark creeper. Yeah. No, I was wearing my trip pants,
So dark.
my boots, my wristbands, and I was wearing my long sleeve mesh shirt, and no shirt underneath. Like it was just. And then he was just like, "You're 18." I'm like, "I am." He goes, "We're going to the strip club." I'm like, "We're not." He's like, "We're going to the strip club." And I was like, "Well, I got to call." I was dating a girl named at the time, and I had to call her. I was like, "Hey, blah blah blah," and I made it like I didn't really want to go, but my friends were insistent. And she's like, "You should go. Have a good time. Everybody should do it once. Have fun." I'm like, all right, cool. So we went, and I remember like
Walked in and the lights were down. You were like, "It's so dark."
it's so dark. No, I remember having a really good time, and we
Buy you a bed dance.
oh yeah, yeah.
I like the bed dances.
Yeah. We'd seen maybe like 2 or 3 girls, and this one girl came out. She came out to the non-point version of Air in the Night.
Okay.
And
Remember what her name was?
Karma.
Karma.
With a K.
Ooh.
Yeah. I think Karma's spelled with a K anyways, isn't it?
Yes.
That's funny.
exotic. Not quite as exotic.
But she came out, and me and the other buddy that was in the back of the car were both like, "Damn," because she was just banging. And do people still say that? Banging?
We just did.
All right.
Or you did.
Well, bringing it back. We were both like just in awe. And
Real quick, do you remember when we were young how like busted just meant that you had big boobs?
yeah,
And it was considered a good thing?
and now it's a bad thing.
Yeah, now busted means like you got hit
Ugly.
in the face with a bat or something.
I know it's weird, dude. But now,
Huh.
she came off stage, and other buddy was like calling her over, and he was like, "I want to get a dance from you," and blah blah blah. And I swear to God, dude, like she started talking to me, and she's like, "Look at this guy in his mesh shirt," and I thought she was gonna make fun of me or something. She's like, "That's hot." And then we all started talking about LRS Fest because LRS Fest was coming up, and dude was like, you know, what do we call him? I need a name for him. Just dude.
For now.
Dude was like, "Are you going to LRS Fest?" And she's like, "I am." And he's like, "Hell yeah, well maybe we'll meet up there." And she goes, "I'll tell you what." And she looked at me and she goes, "If he goes in that shirt," she's like, "I will go in my shirt that's just like that." I was like, "Hell yeah." Remember we all went to LRS Fest, and me and dude were like on the lookout.
Never found her?
Never found her.
Oh.
Never found her. But no, yeah, it's funny that me and you have never gone to one.
I remember going there before, and there was a girl named Destiny who had like the big long like Stacy Keebler like legs,
Yeah.
and she reminded me of her a lot. And I remember she had like on these glass high heels. They looked like glass.
Clear heels,
Completely
man.
Clear
Clear heels.
She was walking. She stepped wrong and fell off the stage.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And I caught her. And I was just like perfect. And I was like,
No shit.
"Hey, how you doing?" She was like, "Thanks." And then I stood her back up on the stage, and that was it.
Nobody came up to you and be like, "Hey."
No, because she fell.
Well, yeah,
I
but
caught
still,
her.
like, I could imagine,
and
like,
she
you know.
said thank you, and so they didn't. I was worried about that too,
Yeah.
but got her back up there. And then I remember the next time I went, that same buddy that we're talking about that was buying you dances, he heard me mention that, so she came up to me and was like, "Come on," and I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Have fun." And we got back there. She was waiting for the song to get done so the new song would start, because because it was for like 2 songs or something like that. And so she was making small talk, and I was like, "I was here about 3 weeks ago, and you slipped, and I caught you." She was like, "Oh yeah," and then my dance ended up being for like 3 songs.
Hell yeah.
And she was like, she did a few things she probably should not have, but it's not like, it wasn't that kind of happy ending type thing, but she went a little bit further than she should have, and I was very pleased.
There you go.
But I remember my favorite person there,
Mm-hmm.
her name was Aries,
Aries.
and she would come out in a zoot suit. and start dancing to Zoot Suit Riot.
Oh, that's cool.
She'd be like dancing, spinning the chain, and then spinning the hat and throwing it and everything, and it was nice.
That's really cool. You know, me and you had a conversation not too awful long ago about the visual aesthetic appeal of a certain female body part.
Well, just genitals in general.
Just genitals, yeah, because we it started with balls.
Yes.
I will say that me, the buddy that we were just talking about that buys everybody dances,
And the dude.
and Vince,
We
we went to a club. We went to Deja Vu in Lexington.
Oh. So
And-
not the Louisville location.
Right. And we saw a couple girls, and they came out. One came out, and easily a 9 out of 10, like just everywhere. But had a very visually appealing vagina.
Okay.
And I'm not kidding. Like, probably the only one that I've ever seen that was just like,
Well, like I was just saying, and I've said this before,
yeah,
as a guy,
yeah.
yes, I like looking at them.
Yes, 100%. Not
But-
saying anything bad.
But this is the thing, and just straight up, you take that out of the equation.
Yeah.
You just go visually. What, I mean, just genitals in general, there's nothing attractive about them.
No, like, I don't think there's anything.
I mean, they look like these are all the extra bits that didn't have anywhere to go, and they put them together at a certain spot. And
yeah.
it,
They
shouldn't be appealing.
They
We'll say that.
they serve a function. They're tools, and like it's not a sexist thing. Like, I personally think that, you know, I'm not going to say penises because then you're gonna be like, well, yeah, you're not gay. You think all penises. My own penis. Like, I don't think that they're
Why are
visually
we
appealing.
talking about your penis?
Well, I don't know. Like, I'm just trying to make sure it's not like a bias thing. But like, just penises in general, they're not appealing. They're not. It's not a sexist thing. Yeah. Don't look at me that way. We are not sponsored by these nuts.
Where did this come from? We were
have no
just
idea,
talking about
like-
strip clubs.
We were talking about.
Did you? Speaking of strip clubs, real quick, have you noticed that like 90% of all stripper boobs smell the same?
Yeah.
It's like all of them use the exact same perfume.
I think there's a scent, and they keep it a secret, and they don't tell anybody what it is.
We've had a couple times where people were like, "We found stripper boobs,"
Yeah.
because that's why we always called it stripper boobs.
Yeah.
And I've smelled stuff similar, but I've never smelled that exact smell. I
There's
don't know
a-
if it's like a perfume mixed with something else.
Yeah.
Like, is that mixed with some kind of
There-
oil or something?
There could be. It could
or
be.
lotion. But there's a distinct stripper boob smell.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing smell.
And you cannot go to a strip club without coming back and being covered in glitter.
True.
It is very true.
But I mean, either way, I'm just saying, whatever that smell is, the stripper boob smell, it's an excellent smell.
It's a very good smell. Like, and that's the other part. Like, because like I've seen movies and TV shows that have depicted like strip clubs like with like certain caliber of women, but every time I've gone, they've been really good caliber.
Most of the time. Like, I remember Deja Vu, it's like, what, it was 100 beautiful women and 3 ugly ones?
Yeah.
And I've never met one of the ugly ones.
No.
Never.
I will tell you. So when it was me, Vince, and sometimes Corey, and sometimes another guy named I'll call him DN. We were going all the time, and we discovered our new favorite because Deja Vu in Lexington was our favorite for a while.
Okay.
The Spearmint Rhino in Lexington, Kentucky, is probably the most high-class place I've ever been.
I know your brother talked about this place that I've never found, so I don't know if it was only open for a short amount of time, but he said it was called the Bare Necessities.
I've never heard of that.
He said it was BARE, like the Bare Necessities.
funny.
But you'd walk in and they would be playing the Bare Necessities in the lobby.
That's hilarious. I've never been there. Never heard of it.
I don't think it. If it actually existed, it existed for a short amount of time because I never got to go, and I've never seen it or heard of it.
I've never heard of that one. But bare necessities, simple. You got me stuck on it. But no, man. How did we jump from talking about like old times at the apartment
Boobs.
and Ridge boobs? That's what it was. No, because we went from boobs to Phoenix Hill. I don't know how we got there.
I don't remember. Well, I mean, I'm sure when we listen back to this, we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out for sure. But no, man, like I've got so many good memories of just hanging out, like the apartment especially. That's
Well, see, you weren't even around a lot for a lot of the Crestview days and stuff.
no, not
beforehand.
at all.
Yeah, you got banned from that house.
Yeah, I was there once. That was a tennis racket incident.
I was talking about all the throwing the knives at the door.
Wait, what?
You kept throwing knives at that bedroom door.
Really?
Yeah, and your brother was doing it too.
I don't remember that.
I do.
Oh, wow.
Had a hole on the door. I had to put posters on it and shit.
I'm sorry, buddy.
That was the main thing that they got mad at first, and then they saw the whelps
Yeah.
from the racket.
I remember being at my grandma's and Tony being there because
Yeah.
Tony was a buddy of my Uncle Tim.
Former stepdad.
Yeah, and I remember like going to my grandma's once, and Tony was there. He's like, "I got a bone to pick with you, little boy," and my mom was like, "What the fuck? Why are you talking to my kid that way?" And he was like, "You'll understand in a minute." And he was like, "I want to know what possessed you to beat my stepson with a tennis racket." I'm like, "I don't know." He goes, "I saw the welts on the boy's back." And I'm like, "I'm sorry." He goes, "Don't come over to my house no more." I was like, "Okay, yes, sir." I don't know if I ever told you that.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. But yeah, no,
He was a dick.
really?
Tony?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Tony was a lot of the reasons why I was first having those times without utilities and stuff. Because him and Mom would get paid on the same day, and then he would disappear, usually to your uncle's house.
That's funny.
And
Just drink.
He would be there for the whole weekend and then come back with no paycheck because he spent it all on alcohol and coke.
Damn.
And then he'd come back with no money.
I will say this, not defending him at all, because that's shitty. Be a man and take care of your shit. But he apparently cared about you a little bit.
Yeah.
There's that.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. But I'm sorry.
When he wasn't, showing back up where like so drunk that you can't pronounce words and just and punching through the window
Oh yeah, that's bad.
so he can unlock the door
Damn.
instead of just trying to
Knock.
something like that and
Damn.
punching through and just bleeding everywhere and not being able to make any sense.
Okay, fuck that guy.
Throwing the cats and
Throwing cats?
busting Mom's nose.
Okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know that, dude. I'm sorry.
He's a bad guy.
I'm sorry. Yeah, fuck that guy.
Remember when my grandpa died, he just disappeared for like a month.
Oh shit.
And so Mom had to deal with that without him. It was just me, and then he finally like showed back up, and he was like, "Yeah, I think I'm gonna leave now." Because yeah. After we were sitting there with like no electricity and all that other crap.
Damn.
So yeah,
Steve's definitely your best stepdad, in my opinion.
of the two,
Yeah. Of the two. What did you have? Oh, I thought you had more than that.
no,
Didn't you say you had one that was like the one that had the son that shit in the urinal?
that wasn't a stepdad. That was just a boyfriend.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Well, father figures in your life.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think Steve's good.
yeah.
He works.
That's why Mom's song was that like the "God Bless the Broken Road" thing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because she went through some shit before she
Yeah.
found Steve. And her and Steve have been great.
Yeah.
Steve has been excellent.
Yeah. He's a good dude. So.
Yeah, on a lighter note.
Yeah, I was going to say this took a dark turn.
Well, you didn't bring up badness, but you know what I mean.
Oh no,
I didn't know you didn't know any of that. Again,
I didn't know that. I knew the urinal story. I know about that guy.
that's a different guy.
Yeah.
There,
You got to do it. You got to do it.
Mom had a boyfriend for a while, and this guy had two sons, and the youngest son, his name was Patrick, and Patrick had
Hope you're watching.
some form of mental issues.
I take that back.
I don't know exactly what it was, but he was just a little bit slower.
Off.
And I remember there were 3 different instances that I usually talk about if we talk about Patrick, and that was us going to the pool outside the apartment complex, and Mom was standing in like the more shallow end, but it was still taller than Patrick.
Mhm.
And he just walked down the stairs and into the water. He was just standing there underwater next to Mom, and she didn't notice. And then finally, he just like reached up and like grabbed her swimsuit and was like, and she looked down, and was like, "Oh God!" Pulled him out, and then like, he was coughing up water and all that other stuff. So he was just thinking he could just stand underwater and breathe. I guess I don't know. Then the other time,
That is how you become Aquaman.
The other time we were in a big grocery store, and the boyfriend took us to the bathroom, and I remember I went into a stall because all the urinals were taken, and then when I came back out and turned around, he was just like hopping down off of the urinal because he was sitting there, and he hopped off, and there was just a turd laying there on the urinal cake.
That is wonderful.
And I just started like laughing.
Oh,
and
that's
then
so
I
funny.
got hit in the face
That's not
by the
funny.
boyfriend.
That's not funny at all.
There was more to that, but there's no point in getting into all the badness.
Yeah.
And that third time was we were back in my room, and I had a lamp, but it didn't have a lampshade, and I wasn't paying attention. He was over there by the
Remember
lamp,
this story too.
and he would like touch the bulb until he had like a big blister, and he kept touching it. And then I was playing with his brother, his older brother, and we looked over, and apparently his blister had popped, and it was bleeding everywhere. And he was like, how like kids like draw with crayons on the wall. It's like he was drawing with his blood all over the walls.
So creepy.
And I was like, "Mom!" And she came in the room, and he turned around and said, "Look, Brindy blood," because he never said Brenda; it was always Brindy.
Man.
And then I was laughing at that, and then that same boyfriend grabbed one of those brooms with the plastic bristles and like hit me in the face with it, and I had all these little holes everywhere that was bleeding all down my face.
Damn, dude. You went through so much shit. I am so sorry. I am so sorry, buddy.
Well, I think I'm pretty well adjusted.
No, you turned out great. Like in retrospect, like you could have turned out awful, but you didn't.
I'm only partially awful, I guess.
You're not awful. I don't think you're awful at all. No, we going back to like some of the memories and stuff from like the Ridge house at least. We talked about on the first episode. We talked about like our vampire game that we played. Just to break that down a little bit more, it's called Vampire the Masquerade. It's a role playing game, pen and paper. You introduced me to that on Ridge.
Was it on Ridge?
It was on Ridge.
I thought your first game was at the apartment.
No, it was on Ridge, and it wasn't a game. It was a demonstration.
Okay. Again, I thought that was at the apartment.
Nope, that was on Ridge.
Huh.
And it was me and you in your bedroom, and I remember talking to you. He goes, "James, I've heard you talk about this vampire game," because I remember like on vampire nights, like only certain people were allowed over. And I was like,
that's because other people were too loud and they would interrupt it.
Yeah. And I was like, "What is it?" And you're like, "You want to know?" I was like, "I do." And you went and got the book, and you explained it to me, and you were like, "All right, so and I didn't even have a character sheet. You were like, "All right, so for example."
See, I remember all this, but I remember it at the apartment sitting on Mom's bed.
It was on Ridge. It was in your room. At some point, Steve had come in and said he was going on a McDonald's run, asked you what you wanted. You wanted spicy McChickens.
Probably.
And I'm like, "Are those good? How much are they?" Because I'd never had one. And you introduced me to Vampire and Spicy McChickens at the same night. I didn't even realize that, but yeah. And I remember I had $1, and I gave Steve $1, and he brought me one. I was like, "Oh, these are fucking good."
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, you introduced me to Vampire. It was cool. But yeah, that really was on Ridge.
I still remember it being at the other place.
Nope. You introduced Deborah to Vampire on
Oh,
the apartment. I was there.
okay. I remember introducing Corey to Vampire.
Oh, you know what I'm saying?
That was great.
Corey, if you're watching, I love you to death, buddy.
Yeah, but him and his
Nikki.
his now wife.
Yeah.
Right, Nikki. They were they were just dating at the time, and
Mm-hmm.
they kept on coming over, and they were listening to us play and stuff, and they finally wanted to play. And to be completely honest, at the time, we did not want them to play.
At the time.
We did not. I mean, now it's different.
Yeah.
But back then, we did not want them to play.
Mm-hmm.
And so, instead of just saying no, because we didn't want to be dicks, I let them help them make characters for this game with every intention of killing them quickly. And then, so we had that game, and within an hour, I had killed both of them. They had spent all that time making their characters and getting all this. And
Wasn't
then
that into Boom?
Yes. And then I just
Easy
got
to die into Boom.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I made it hard. I made it hard on them.
Yeah.
And I just, well, you died. And then, well, you died. Well, sorry.
Well, you died.
They're like, man, this is hard. And I was like, yes, we did good. And they were like, I like it. And it was like, fuck.
You're like, no.
You did wrong.
Do you remember, like, always constantly trying to kill Varian off?
Yes, that was the dude's character.
Yeah. I tried to kill him off in my Chronicle, I don't know how many times. Even, like, brought Hamill in one night, and he was going to make a guy. And I was like, come outside with me. And we walked outside. I'm like, here's the deal. I'm gonna let you start as a lower generation. Here's your stat points. Don't tell anybody. He's like, why are you doing this? I'm like, kill Varian. He's like, done. He attempted. He failed. I attempted as a GM. I don't know how many times. I failed.
On that particular game that the other people died in, there was a time where me and him were working together trying to achieve this goal of defeating this big thing. And I had this awesome, amazing plan that would have worked. But the thing is, it was basically a giant scorpion, so it was very armored, and we said that none of our weapons would get through the armor.
Would penetrate it.
Yes.
So they had to penetrate it a different way.
Yes, so my thought was, I'm going to crawl up inside this thing's ass and kill it from the inside.
Smart thinking.
Because I'm a vampire, I don't got to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
And then for some reason, the GM at the time went, give us a courage roll to see if you have enough courage to crawl in this asshole.
I think it deserves a courage roll.
Yeah, but I had already hung onto the bottom of it and handed over hand, did all this stuff to
I
get
think
there.
Crawling in anything's asshole should require a courage roll.
So either way, I did that, and I got to the courage roll.
I will defend
even
that.
though it was my plan and everything, I got to there, did this courage roll, failed it, so my guy ran off, running like a little bitch.
Didn't you botch?
Ah! No, I didn't die there or anything.
No, didn't you botch?
I think so, but
Yeah.
my guy ended up running away from the fight, just going, ah, and screaming. And then here comes the dude with his Varian guy, just doing some almost Kratos-like shit, swinging on a chain around the side. And
He
doing
got a
this
great roll.
awesome looking. I mean, it sounded awesome the way it was described, but he did it, and it was like, you motherfucker.
Went right in that ass.
No, he didn't.
He didn't?
No, he just got a good enough score that they said that he stabbed down the side.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, I thought he
right
went up
in
the ass.
no, right in between.
No,
the
he got to
plates.
do some cool shit.
Yeah, and like I said, Kratos looking and just, blades on chains and stuff. And I was like, you motherfucker. That's okay. We got him back with the forehead, though.
Yeah. Your
Well,
forehead.
that particular game, we didn't tell anybody, but me and the other guy, me and the guy that was GMing that, we actually took turns GMing that game, because we had one character that basically he had multiple personality disorder, but every time he switched over, it was a completely different character. And so he had different stats, different everything, and when he would switch, I would play him, and the other guy would GM, and then we'd flip around, and then I'd GM while he was GM.
It's a very cool concept.
It was fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when it was my time, they had found this. It was like a guy that was sitting there by a puddle, and this particular game, I said giant scorpions earlier, which sounds weird for a vampire thing, but this was basically a Fallout-inspired game. It was a nuclear fallout. People could be out during the daytime
Radiation.
because of the cloud that was overhead, and so Mr. Varian's walking along with a bunch of people and found this old guy sitting here next to a puddle.
You have to explain the reason you put this in the game, because dude and his fascination with this particular thing.
He kept on asking if his guy could have two dicks.
Yeah. Over
Constantly. Every time he made a character, he'd ask if his character could have two dicks.
Yeah.
Don't know why. He just thought it was funny and wanted it.
I know why.
Well, so he could do two chicks at the same time.
No, so he could do one chick in both holes at the same time.
Yeah, that's true. That was the other one.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
he said both.
Oh,
but
okay, yeah.
either way, the point is, he kept wanting two dicks.
He did.
And so we kept telling him no all the time. Got to this time and found this old guy sitting next to a glowing puddle. And he was like, oh, you drink this and good things will happen. And they were like, I ain't drinking that. It's like, oh, but it was great. I feel amazing. And they gave me 2 dicks. And all of a sudden, this guy just went, what? He was like, give me. And he started drinking this water and everything. And he was like, ah. And he's like, where's my other dick? It's like, well, it's not going to happen instantly.
It takes some time.
And he was like, oh, okay. And then we went on, and at the very end of that game, all I said was, your forehead itches.
And he was like, no.
Well, he didn't know. He didn't know. He didn't know.
He say? I thought he did.
No, he didn't. He was just like, what? What do you mean? And I was like,
I really thought he knew.
No, that was it. It wasn't until the next game, because I said it
Oh,
2 more
yeah,
times
that's
during
right.
the next game, and he's like, why do you keep saying that?
That's right.
And then he was like, no. And right as soon as he figured out, I made a big dick grow
Yep.
out of his forehead and just flop down on his nose. And he was like, oh, man. And then he cut it off, and it grew right back.
Yep.
And he was just, so the rest of that game had him with a dick on his forehead.
Yep. We never got to finish the game.
No.
I ate the monkey paw.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah.
Damn
That
it.
was a fun game.
That was a
I like
really
to be
fun
Batman
game.
and get killed by land sharks.
It was great.
And they were doing the whole Candygram thing.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
Like Saturday Night Live. It was great.
Wonderful.
That's where and the Hamels. God, the Hamels.
I've used the Hamels since then.
You have?
Oh yeah. So like the game
For everybody, no, we have an acquaintance who
named Hamel.
Yes, who we call Hamel, because we thought he looked like a cross in between a human and a camel.
It's really when he first wakes up that it's like
He definitely,
so prominent.
yeah. And so we said he was a Hamel. It's a cross in between the two. We even gave him a noise.
Yeah, just murr.
We go murr, murr, and
Hamel Tut.
So yeah, in the middle of all those vampire games, especially that one, where we had all these mutant things, we actually had hordes of Hamels running around.
Little humps like bipedal things.
They did acid spit.
Yeah. But no, I used those. You remember the game that you threw the grenade to vents?
Yeah.
Yeah. So before you joined that game,
That was a smart thing.
Yeah,
he was upset, but it was
there
smart.
were Hamels they had to fight, and there was a King Hamel, just like in the boom. It's cool. I used the Hamels.
Just one Hamel that had a crown on.
Yeah.
I love that.
King Hamel.
Hamel Tut.
Hamel Tut.
That's right. How long have we been doing this?
I don't know, but this has been a really good episode.
I've been enjoying it.
But no, yeah. Vampire's fun. I always have a good time playing Vampire. I haven't played in a very long time. I'm more interested in playing some Day of Reckoning. That's a 5 for New York, for sure.
Yeah. I like all that. It's been a while.
It has.
I don't know.
Speaking of the Hamel,
Yeah.
so when the Hamel first came to live with you,
Yes.
he was an asshole.
Yes, he was.
He was a 16-year-old annoying asshole.
Was he 16 or was he 15?
He was 16.
Okay.
And I remember, I don't think I was the only one thinking it. We were all thinking, man, he just needs to get laid. Like, what sucks is Hamel's dad, James's stepdad, had set a rule. Hamel is off limits.
Yes.
No one can touch him.
Well, he didn't want anybody like hurting him or anything because he kind of had a, yeah, he was young and we were, technically of age and he didn't want us, hurting him.
Like, I remember a time, I don't remember if it was me and you playing a game or me and somebody else playing a game, but I remember him, like, getting mad that either we wouldn't let him play or because he had to get up early for school.
Probably that one.
But he shut the game off in the middle of us playing. And I wanted to go after him, and the other person wanted to go after him. And he was just like, my dad said you can't touch me. So mad. But everybody was like, he just needs to get laid. And I remember we were downstairs at the Fish's apartment.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about the first time someone did.
First time someone did.
Yeah, actually put hands on him.
Oh, we'll get to that. We will definitely get to that.
But we're not trying to talk bad about nobody.
No. But I remember we were down at the apartment at Fish's, and everybody's kind of paired off, and there's a girl that's not really in our group, but she's an acquaintance on the group. And she was down there, and she was a little drunk, and we started talking about Hamill because he was upstairs. We were all downstairs partying. And we were talking about Hamill. I'm like, man, he needs to get laid. And she was like, I'll fuck him. Like, really? Okay. And we sent somebody up to get Hamill. And it just wouldn't come down. And finally, like, we got him down there. I'm like, dude, go in that room. Go in that room. You're going to get laid. He's like, well, I don't know how. I was like, dude, she's going to take care of everything. She's got you.
Yeah.
And he went in there.
That's what friends are for.
And I'll never forget. There's two things I'll never forget. Number one, that door bursting open. I don't remember how much time had passed, but that door bursting open, Hamill shirtless with his pants undone, sweating, going, I need water. Oh. And he came out and he got water. And then the second thing I remember is that his personality completely shifted. Like it fixed that. Fixed the problem.
I forgot that actually happened.
Were you there?
No, but I remember. I remember hearing, but I forgot that was how he lost.
That's how it happened. He lost. I'll bleep that out. Speaking of that girl, though, I haven't talked to her in years and years and years, but I was talking to another mutual buddy that knows her, and apparently she's in a wheelchair now.
No, that's
yeah,
not good.
I forget what she got. She developed something, some kind of like
amyelitis.
No, it's some kind of like hereditary thing, and she's like paralyzed from the waist down.
Oh,
it's awful. It's awful.
Yeah, that's horrible.
But yeah, the first time anyone put hands on Hamill, I was there for that. God, I was there for that.
Talking about it from your perspective.
Oh my God. So yeah, and this was before he got laid. He was a dick. God, he was a dick before he got laid. He was such a piece of shit, so annoying and so disrespectful. So he's living in an apartment with his dad and his stepmom.
And his stepbrother.
And his stepbrother.
Was I living there at the time?
I don't remember.
I don't think I was.
I don't remember if you were or not.
I just stopped by. I can't
Maybe.
Because I went back to live with Mom after my divorce.
Yeah.
I don't think, no, that would have been before then.
Yeah.
Huh.
But me and James were on the floor playing some game. I don't remember what it was. But James's mom was telling Hamill, bleeps, to go to bed. That he had like school in the morning, something like that.
I thought he was mad because he like didn't understand the work or something like
school work. It was something to do with school. And your mom telling him something. And I just remember him like being extremely disrespectful. To this day, I don't remember what he said.
I warned him.
You did.
One time.
And he said something off-putting to your mom, and you did. You warned him. And he said something else, and I don't remember what it was, but it was extremely disrespectful.
And he started walking away, like down the hallway.
And I remember you just getting up and like slamming down your controller, and I was like, he's gonna yell at him. He's just gonna yell at him. But no, you like fucking gripped him up
by his neck.
Yeah, and just slammed him down.
And told him he needed to show some respect. I don't remember. Did I hit him?
You did.
Yeah, I threw him down, picked him up by his neck, slammed him on the ground, told him he needed to show some fucking respect, and then punched him one time.
I don't think he ever smarted off to your mom again.
No,
he did not. And I remember like your stepdad, like Hamill's dad, who made the rule, didn't say a fucking word. Did not say a word.
Well, he was mouthing off to his wife.
Yeah, it was warranted. It was 100% warranted.
I didn't beat him up. I proved a point.
You put him in his place. It's like, hey, you will show respect to my mother. That's your stepmother. You will show respect.
And he did, for the most part, after that.
Yeah. I would imagine so.
I forgot that you were sitting there for that.
Oh, fuck yeah, I was sitting there. That was like the highlight of my week.
Well,
I was upset that I missed like the other thing that happened.
The JD thing?
JD.
Uh-huh.
JD?
Uh-huh. I'm going with initials.
JD. Who's JD? No, not that.
Oh, okay.
DL. Piggy bank. Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard about it from you and somebody else. Was not there for it. I was home. I was at my apartment. Was not there.
Well, he deserved it too.
Yeah.
So it was like
For that particular thing.
Well, it goes back to what we were talking about last time about, I may enjoy it, but always got to be in the right.
Yeah, yeah. And you were.
Someone clearly asked for it, and he asked for it.
He did.
And not just that, but in this particular case, I had gotten a fight with this guy.
That was not a fight. You offered it to be a fight.
Okay. Either way, this particular altercation with this individual
Was an altercation, yes.
When I got there to proceed with said altercation, he met me outside and said, "Can we talk for a minute?" And I said, "Sure, let's talk." And then he went through and told me every bad thing that he did, which was like not letting people in the house when he was supposed to, because me and Mom had pneumonia and we were in the hospital, and he was left in charge of the house. And he knew who he was supposed to let in and who he wasn't supposed to let in, and he refused to let the people in that were supposed to come in and started letting people in we didn't want to come in. He stole Hamill's GameCube games and sold them, and stole my emergency fund that I had for my daughter's diapers and stuff.
The only thing I knew about was the daughter, for your daughter. I didn't know the other two things. Wow.
And then said something like, there was something about Mom. He called her some kind of bitch and not wanting, glad she was in the hospital or something. It was something crazy like that. So there were multiple things. God. And according to Mom, he got there that night before, and she went, and they had a big talk about everything, and she went, "We're good." And whoever else was there, I can't remember. I think Dude was there, and some other people. Yeah, Dude was there, and again, and everybody squared away with him, and got everything worked out. But they said, "But we can't say anything about James."
Yeah.
And I went, and I didn't even know he was there until I was almost there. I was just going to Mom's, and he was the one that answered the phone. And I was like, oh. Because after he did all that stuff, he disappeared for like 3 months.
Yeah.
And then he was just randomly there one morning. And so, like I said, we went to talk. And he was like, "I just want to apologize for everything that I did." And then he listed out the things that he did. And he's like, "I just want to apologize and say I'm sorry for that and hope we can work past it."
Which is code for please don't hit me.
And I went, said guy's name. I went, "If I did all of that stuff to you, would I'm sorry be enough?" And he went, "No." And I was like, "Okay, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to go outside, and I'll have somebody keep time, and we'll fight for like 1 minute. And then at that 1 minute, we'll stop." Because I figured that's all I was going to need.
Yeah.
And then he said, "Well, I'm not going to fight. I don't fight." And I was like, "Dude, I'd really prefer you to fight. I advise you to fight." And
yeah.
And then he was like, "Oh, I can't do it." And I was like, "Okay, 30 seconds then, because I don't want to be a dick." And then I gave him like 3 or 4 cigarettes and a full like big monster. And I was like, "Wake up. Get ready." Then I walked inside and started talking to the dude. And went, "Hey, you going to keep time for this?" And he was like, "Fuck yeah. I'll go out there." One of my buddies that I went there with, that I was going to have, as soon as I heard that, I was a pretty new father at the time. I didn't want to go to jail, so I was going to have him take care of it for me.
Yeah.
After I talked to this guy, I went, "Don't worry about it. I got it." He was like, okay. So, we're just letting him wake up and stuff. I was back there talking to the dude. And, then all of a sudden, this guy comes in that room and it's like, "Okay, well, I'm ready. Let's go out there." And I was like, "Okay." And everybody started going out. And my buddy who I came there with, like, grabbed me and put me up against the wall, like, really forcefully. And he was like, What are you doing?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "You're being nice to him. You gave him cigarettes. You gave him a monster. You're not going to do anything. You're going to puss out on this." And I was like,
Who said that? The dude?
Yeah, no, not the dude. The guy I went there with.
Who was that? Code it.
Well, you're going to beep stuff.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
He said I was going to puss out.
Gotcha.
And I was like, "Oh, okay. Just hold on."
I was like, I can't imagine anyone in our group thinking you're going to puss out on something like that.
Well, he's known me longer than almost anybody. And
yeah.
He can get away with some stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, hold on. And I went out there, and then, yeah, that proceeded to happen. I remember he had like my fist print in his forehead for days.
Yeah.
It was an ugly thing. It was one of the only times I actually fully knocked somebody completely out.
Yeah.
And they were just snoring. And before that, I remember he just did that, like, it was a horrible scream. I still remember what it sounds like, but it was just this. The last time I punched him, he just did this horrible thing, and he sat up, and like just blood went. And then
awful.
He fell back, and he was out. And I was like, I killed this man. I really thought I did. I was like, oh no. I wouldn't have went nearly that hard, but pissed me off.
Dude,
You can beep it again, but he pissed me off.
I'm going to tell you this. So, like, speaking of that person, I remember being at your mom's one night, and I'm sure you remember this. People were notorious for stealing your mom's cigarettes.
Yeah.
And it became like a massive problem to where, like,
oh yeah,
people were taking like 3 to 4 packs out of her carton at a time.
oh yeah.
I remember being over there.
Or like when she was like doing the machine that would roll your own, and they just grab a whole handful.
I remember being over there one night. It was Delmer was with me. He had rode from Charlestown. Like, my mom picked him up, and he had rode from Charlestown to my house because he was supposed to be staying. And it was me, Delmer, and were the people hanging out at your apartment at the time. He got there a little bit later.
Are you going with all these names again?
Sorry, I'll beep stuff out.
Me.
I'm not going to beep Delmer out because Delmer,
Yeah.
in this particular story, it's not a bad story. But I remember your mom, like me and Delmer, were just bullshitting in the living room, and your mom went
You
to.
going to keep that other name, or are you just going to keep on?
Sorry. I'll beep it out.
Well, there's going to be a lot of beeps.
Yeah, but we're all in the video in the living room, just bullshitting around, and your mom like reached for her carton, and she was supposed to have like 2 more packs, and she was out, and she's like, "Okay, who took my cigarettes?" I stood up immediately and like emptied out my pockets.
I remember all that, having to have people empty out pockets all the time.
I emptied my pockets, like, not me. I just got here maybe like 20 minutes ago. So did Delmer. He got up, emptied his pockets out, and he's fine. And the other guy that we were just talking about, he did not empty his pockets, but he's like, it wasn't me. I didn't do it. But he had been there longer. And Hamill was there too. I remember. So I'm just like, you know what? I am getting so tired of coming over here and shit coming up missing, and then me being even considered a suspect. I was like, I don't fucking steal. I don't. It's like, I'm getting tired of it. We're going to put an end to this shit right now. And I looked at Delmer, other guy, and Hamill, and I was like, one of you motherfuckers stole some cigarettes. It's not a big deal. Own up to it. If you have any left, give them to her. They're hers. Nobody did a fucking thing. And I looked at your mom, and I was like, can I take them in your room? And she's like, for what? And I'm like, I'm going to get an answer. She's like, do what you got to do. Took them in there. And I was like, we're going to sit in here until one of you motherfuckers fesses up to it. I was like, I didn't do it. And, of course, everybody was like, well, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. And they just kept on and kept on. We were in there for like an hour. Finally.
I don't remember this.
Finally, you weren't there.
I don't remember hearing about it.
Asked the dude. Finally, the dude showed up. And he heard about what was going on. He came into the room. He's like, got an answer yet? I was like, no, but I'm tired of waiting. It's like, here's the deal. I was like, I'm going to give you guys 10 minutes. Someone's going to fess up, or you're all getting hit in the face. Every single one of you. And they talked amongst themselves, and the dude was like, you're not really going to hit him, are you? I was like, fuck yeah. Yeah, someone's fessing up, they're all getting hit. Because this ain't going to happen again.
It happened again.
Fuck yeah, it did. So finally, 10 minutes was up. I was like, who did it? Everybody, not me. I was like, Hamill, stand up. And he did. He stood right the fuck up. And I fucking got him right in the face. He went down. I was like, you can go. It's like, Delmer, get up. Delmer got up.
But you knew that he didn't, right?
I was pretty sure, but I mean, I had to be fair.
Yeah.
And he stood up. He took his punched in the face. Other guy got up. The guy we were just talking about. Started crying. I'm like, what's wrong? He's like, dude, I really didn't do it, and I don't think it's fair that I get hit in the face, and I'm just really nervous about getting hit in the face. I don't want to get hit in the face. Will you hit me in the top of the head instead? And other guy, the dude, was like, and I was like, I felt bad. I felt so fucking bad. So I was like, sure. And he like bent down. I just punched him in the top of the head. And he left. The dude was like, you were here too, right? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, you want me to hit you? I'm like, it's fair. He's like, nah, I don't think I will. I'm like, you can. He's like, nah, I'm good. Me and the dude sat in that room and talked for a while. Finally, I come out. And dude we were just talking about came up to me. He's like, dude, so Delmer just confessed to me he did it. And I was pissed. I was so fucking pissed. And Julie was the girl that was there. And she's like, because she had just got there too. And she's like, she was like, I don't remember. She said, yeah, I heard him say it. Or, yeah, he said it. I think other dude had told her that he said it. And I asked him, I was like, come outside with me. And we walked outside. And I was like,
Other dude? Or
Delmer.
Okay.
Delmer. And I was like, dude, it's fucked up. Can't believe you did that. And he denied it. And he's like, well, how the fuck am I supposed to get home? And I threw 2 quarters at him. I was like, there's a payphone down the road. Call somebody. I don't give a fuck. Apparently, he ended up walking home to Charlestown that night from Jeff.
And he didn't do it.
He didn't do it. I found out, like, a year and a half later, other dude confessed to it. Like, to me.
I'm not
confessed.
that surprised.
And I was so fucking pissed. It's like, it's one thing to, like, do some stupid shit. It's one thing to lie and say you didn't. It's another thing to let people fucking take your punishment.
Yeah.
That's fucked.
Yeah.
So
hey,
fucked.
I will give him the credit for manning up and walking out there with me.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think he knew what was coming.
No, he probably didn't. He probably did not.
Well, again, this is not kind of ego type stuff, but I'm sorry, but when it comes to like me being pissed off, I'm not the guy to fuck with.
You're not.
I mean, and again, it's really not. It sounds egotistical, and I don't mean it like that.
I know.
You know.
I do know.
You've seen it.
I have. I felt it.
Yeah, but you didn't. You know, I mean, I wasn't pissed at you.
But you were pissed, and you were getting aggression out. And I don't think I want to say you didn't take it easy as far as like pulling your punches.
I wasn't pulling them,
Yeah.
but I mean, I could have.
You weren't trying to hurt me. Like you weren't going out of your way to like.
I wasn't trying to break nothing.
Okay, let me rephrase. You weren't trying to make a point to me.
No.
Yeah, you were.
If I was pissed at you, it might have went worse,
differently. Yeah.
But it was just pissed.
Yeah, I wasn't mad at you either. But yeah, no, I remember going blow for blow for a while there, and I don't remember where you hit me, but I remember seeing a flash and being
Said
like,
it was like blue.
yeah, and I was like, because I'd seen white flashes before, never seen a blue one. I was like, I think I'm done. Yeah, we're good. I was like, I'm fine now. That's enough. It was fun though. It was a good time.
I remember that 'cause you tried to like overpower me and push me back.
I don't remember that. I remember
once we got close, you would try to like push me back and take me down, and then we went the other way, and you were like, "Oh!"
I remember your nose bleeding and me going, I don't think I hit you in the nose, and you said you didn't. And I remember you said like I had hit you in the cheek or something like that. And I was like, that's weird.
But your gum was split,
Yeah, fucking yeah, it was.
like from your tooth up to the roof.
It could like talk. Like,
yeah.
yeah, it was bad. It was so bad. It was fun though. Like I went to work, and
We went to work.
In such
We were
a better
standing
mood.
next to each other.
Yeah.
And just being like all laughing and then going like, what's wrong? Because we were starting to bruise up a little bit.
Mm-hmm. But I felt way better.
Oh, yeah. It
Felt
fixed
so much
everything.
better. But yeah. No, I think.
What?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm trying to remember. I did have something.
You had something?
It was something about the hill, and I can't remember.
Oh, the hill.
We had fun with the hill.
I had a lot of fun.
Were
with the
you
hill.
part of that one big circle? Remember, there was a big fight going on at the bottom of the stairs out in the deck bar. And I remember,
Seems familiar.
I think it was me and you and like 3 other guards made this big circle.
I do remember that.
Everybody locked hands and then just crushed
Yeah.
everybody in the middle and
Yeah.
walked out like 15 motherfuckers at one time. And then we
I
had to
do
let some
remember
of them
that.
back in because there were a couple of them that just got caught in the middle of
Yeah.
the fight. But the people that were fighting couldn't move. They were all stuck together.
Do you remember? People trying to throw Hamill off the fucking
Yeah.
off the top of the deck bar, the sky bar? God,
I remember also Big Bill getting attacked there.
with the tip jar.
Well, not that part. I was talking about out there in the deck bar where they had that one little raised dance floor section. There was a guy that jumped off of that and like Superman punched the guy in the back of the head, and then Bill was trying to break it up, and I was on my way, and people jumped on top of him, and I stood him up, and then I reached down there and started, trying to pull apart the people.
Yeah.
I remember somebody grabbed my hair, started trying to pull me up, and I was in the process of grabbing people, so I just pulled back down, gripped them up, stood up, and then while I had that guy folded, I just turned around and said, "Let go." And I was like, "Oh, my bad." And then I walked out, and then I came right, threw him out the door, came right back, found that motherfucker, and grabbed him, and he went out too. And Bill was like, thanks, man.
Such a crazy place.
Which was weird for anybody to mess with Bill, because Bill was like 7 feet tall.
7 foot tall, yeah, big dude.
Worked at Radio Shack.
He did. I remember when he got his phone, he was bragging about 3G, the Evo.
I got a story.
Oh shit!
I don't know if I should tell it, but I got a story.
No, you should. Whatever it is.
No, it's pretty rough.
I want to know. What is
You
it?
know it.
Who is it?
It was okay. It was about the Kentucky Kingdom thing.
I don't know that I know this story.
Oh, okay. Somebody who we worked with at the bar, when they weren't at the bar at nighttime, was used to be one of the big maintenance people down at Kentucky Kingdom when it was still owned by Six Flags. They were there the day of the elevator incident.
Oh shit! I don't remember this.
Oh.
I don't know.
You know
the
who I'm
story.
talking about?
No. Can you give me an idea?
We can beep again, right?
Yeah.
I'm talking about.
I don't remember the story.
But do you remember that was his other job?
Yeah, I vaguely.
Yeah. Well, he told me all about that.
Okay.
One of the guys that was pretty high up in maintenance over there at the time, he said what we're talking about was there was an incident. There was a drop tower there that they called the elevator. And, this is a very public thing.
Yeah, there was an accident, yeah.
Where basically one of the cables had broke, and it didn't cause the ride to malfunction necessarily, but that rope that was hanging down, it wasn't a rope, it was a cable.
Yeah.
Ended up wrapping around a girl's legs, and then when the tower dropped, it ripped her legs off.
Yeah, it's
And
awful.
That was one of the reasons why Six Flags pulled out from that park and let it go bankrupt. It's back
Yeah.
open now, and it's a good place. But we're talking about back then.
Yeah.
No, that guy that I'm talking about, our maintenance guy that I'm talking about, he told me why that happened.
Oh shit! I don't know the story.
Maybe it was your brother.
Maybe.
Because I don't doubt this for a minute. Because when he started talking about it, by the end of him telling the story, he was crying in your dad's living room.
Really?
Yeah, and he was crying by the end of it, talking about it.
Okay, so yeah, you got to tell me.
What happened was
I gotta know.
With rides and stuff like that, when you go to replace parts, you are absolutely supposed to get the actual parts from that manufacturer.
Yeah, of course.
They didn't want to do that because they were expensive. So they had them look for things that would work instead of that.
Cheaper stuff.
Yes. And they found this elevator cable. And this elevator cable was rated to the right poundage and everything, and the right gauge of the cable. Everything should have worked properly.
Right.
What they didn't account for at the time was a lot of those cables have oil cores in them. Basically, it's basically like a big wick that has oil. That way, every time that cable stretches, it self-lubricates.
Makes sense.
But elevator cables need a lot more oil than the other ones. So
Yeah.
there's a lot more. Plus, elevator cables are always inside someplace, so they're not done to the weather.
They're not exposed to the elements. Yeah.
Right. So they had these cables, and they worked good, but the problem was they only lasted about a third of the time, before you'd have to replace them again.
Oh, God.
And because they were so oily, what they were having to do was at the beginning, because if not, if they didn't do this, there was just oil dripping, from it riding, and it was getting on people. So what they had started doing was at the beginning of the, day before everything, when they're doing all their tests and stuff, they would get people up there because they'd have to go and check it out anyway.
Of course.
And they were throwing cornstarch and stuff all over these cables to try to suck up some of the oil. But that was also helping deteriorate the cables.
That is crazy.
So that's what happened, and that's probably why they lost their lawsuit and why Girl got a shitload of money.
Oh, my God.
It was complete negligence. And
that's
again,
crazy.
That's not talking about, I'm not trying to say anything bad about that company. It might have just been the people who ran it at the time.
Yeah.
So, and,
that doesn't sound like a corporate decision.
No, that was definitely on the local level, and so it's not saying anything bad about the company. Six Flags is a good company.
Yeah.
They just, the people who were running that park decided to do some bad stuff.
Man.
Trying to save some money. I don't know if I should actually tell that story, because that kind of, I don't know if that's me being slanderous or not, but...
Is it true?
As far as I can tell. Because I know that was his other job, and like I said, I don't think he would have been crying like that, because he said that he was there that day.
It's not slander, because you stated,
He said he was there that day.
Yeah.
And he got the call, and he had to go, and then they had to, pick up the legs and all that.
God, that's awful.
Like I said, I mean, you know that individual, so
yeah.
Seeing him just break down crying like that,
I can't imagine that, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I've never doubted that.
This has been a really dark episode.
Well, I mean, we said sometimes it would just be
random. Different, yeah.
I mean... Yeah.
It's been good, though.
Wow.
It's been good, but yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, so, again, Six Flags, do not sue me, because I'm not talking bad about you.
No, he's just repeating a story that was told to him, which is fine.
Yes, which I cannot technically vouch for the validity of.
Yeah.
It could just be, it could just be a story.
It could just be a story.
I just have feelings that it's not.
Yeah. And regardless, that's...
You didn't know that?
I did not know that story.
That was told to me in your dad's living room. I'm thinking your brother was there instead of you.
I'm thinking if Dude was there in my dad's living room, that was a night that some other stuff was going down.
Potentially.
I was never there for that.
You could have probably been back in the bedroom.
Yeah, I never knew that was going on when it was going on.
Oh.
So there's there's no way that I heard that story. That's crazy though. Oh my God, that's crazy.
Ask your brother about it.
I mean, I definitely will. I mean, I believe it. I believe that happened, but God, that's crazy. Well,
I don't think that's really a good stopping point necessarily.
No, I don't think we should
stop soon.
Yeah, but I don't think we should stop there.
On such a low note.
We need something positive and upbeat. It's hard to think
but
of
that girl
right
won her
now.
lawsuits and got fake legs and stuff, and she's doing good now.
Oh, that's good.
That's positive.
Yeah.
But what else is there?
There's a lot.
Oh, I know that, but
There's a whole lot. We've not even scratched the surface.
Well, the problem is, again, some of these things, like we noticed, we've bleeped out a lot of names.
Oh yeah,
because there's some of these people who probably don't want their
these
names
stories
attached to some
yeah.
of these stories, and it's hard to figure out which stories we can tell. Period. Because there's ones that we could, which we find great and we remember, but at the same time, those particular people probably would not find it great if those stories ever got out.
Yeah.
So I don't want to make them feel bad. Because these people are friends, most of them at least, and I don't want to ruin a friendship over telling a story that I shouldn't have told.
It's true.
Because there's a difference between, us talking about it and us putting it out here, for the world, for everybody to hear.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many good ones. Like I'm thinking of two right offhand that are good stories, but I'm iffy about. I don't know.
I'll do this one just briefly. Earlier he was talking about fish. He was talking about the girl.
I thought about doing that.
Talking about the girl.
Thought about
I'll
it.
do it. And the reason that everybody called her fish was because of those like Billy Big Mouth bass things and how much she loved them. She thought it was like the best thing in the world.
That's not what we called her fish.
It wasn't?
No.
That's what I was told.
Who told you that?
The guy. Not the dude.
But the guy?
The guy.
That ain't what we called her fish.
'Cause, yeah, really.
Yeah.
They said that he was at like Meyer with her, and she found one of those, and she just like kept pushing the button and making it sing, and she thought it was the best thing in the world.
I started calling her fish.
Oh,
And I started calling her fish because we were sitting on your mom's couch in the apartment. She was talking to your mom, and I was just getting a side view of her face. And I realized that she had like bulgy eyes. Like they stuck out decently far. And you know how like when people make the fish face?
uh-huh.
Her lips just kind of looked like that from the side anyways. And I was just like, it's like, you look like a fish. And she's like, what? I was like, not in a mean way. You kind of look like a fish.
No.
Yeah, the dude was there. He started laughing his ass off.
Oh, well, that's why I was told she was called the fish.
That's funny.
Maybe it was added on.
Maybe.
Either way,
She
remember
looked
the
like a
fish being over at the house with everybody hanging out, and then she had been drinking, and I had not been drinking. So she was like, hey, will you give me a ride back to my house? And I was like, sure, why not? Because it was only a couple blocks away. Wasn't a big deal. So I got over there, and then she was like, hey, you should drink. And I was like, okay. And I started drinking until I got a little bit buzz going on, and then she was like, well, you probably shouldn't drive now. I was like, oh, well, yeah, probably not. And it's like, I guess I'll take your couch if that's cool. And she was like, oh, my bed's big enough. You can come back here. You can lay down. And I was like, okay. Didn't really, I wasn't thinking nothing. I wasn't flirting. But I was like, oh, I'll do that. I went back there and I laid down. And then she, like, came in. And then she took off her shirt. Didn't have a bra on. She was like, this is how I sleep. And she took off her pants, so she was like just in panties. And I was like, okay. This is how you sleep. And I was just laying there. Again, had no intention at first. But again, topless person next to you. Eventually, you start being like,
Your buddy stands at attention?
Yeah. Well, you just hands start roaming a little bit. And then all of a sudden, she was like, hey, we can do this if you want to do this. And I was like, well, I'm already here. And I remember I went and she told me where the condoms were. It was in the bathroom. I went and got
That's
one.
so inconvenient to have to get up and go in the other room.
It was. I remember I went and got one, came back. We did our thing. And I'll just go ahead and say it, because we're doing the story and we're going for amusement. So, I mean, I don't care if I look bad. For some reason, that was like one of the quickest ones I'd ever had.
Really?
Yeah, I tried to hold back. It just
Sleeping
didn't work.
with the fishes.
I don't know what it was.
Meh.
We're gonna get back to that. Well, we were.
I'm sorry.
That was premature, just like what I was just talking about. But anyway, yeah, it just went really quick. And I remember going, "Hey, you got an issue here." She was like, "What?" And I was like, "Well,
How fast are we talking?
a minute maybe."
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
That doesn't happen often. I don't know what happened that night, but it happened. So then she was like, and I was like, well, that. And she was like, are you serious? And I was like, unfortunately. And it's like, okay. And she didn't make a big deal out of it or anything. And then we went.
It's really not
we
a
went
big
to
deal.
sleep. Woke up the next day, left. And then I remember maybe like a week later, she was over at the house. Me and you were playing music. I was playing the bass, you were playing the guitar, and she was in there watching. And me and her looked at each other, and I remember thinking, I got something to prove. And then I was like, everybody, out. And I was like, oh man. It's like, now. And everybody left, and I made my point. And it wasn't like that. But then, for years to follow, now occasionally, if it ever gets brought up, People are like, you slept with the fishes. Sleeping with the fishes, eh?
Yeah.
Man.
It's
Man,
hilarious.
Man, you slept with the fishes.
Not that she's like, unattractive or anything. That's not the point. It's
No,
it's just funny
you
to
know,
say
sleeping with the
you were
fishes.
sleeping with the fishes. It's
Yeah.
so funny.
So, yes, I slept with the fishes.
So
Twice.
I don't know, like you talking about like you being drunk, sleeping with the fishes, and like having like a premature incident. Do you remember when me, you, and there's Guy, there's the dude, and there's other guy that we talked about a little bit ago?
Yeah.
You remember when the three of us went to a place in New Albany? I was single at the time. You two were going over there, but there were three girls, and you needed a third guy.
No. I don't remember this.
You don't remember?
Are
So
you sure I was there? Oh.
Yeah.
I do remember this now.
okay. So
Holy shit.
I remember being told, "Hey, Dolph, do you want to come with me
MJ.
and huh?
MJ.
Yeah,
We don't have to get any further than that, but MJ. That was one I was going for.
no, not that person.
What are you talking about?
Wait, who? I'm gonna have to bleep.
One moment.
Okay, what are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? Yeah,
Yeah, we called because she had the big fucking.
I didn't know that. I didn't
Oh,
know
yeah,
that. I didn't know that.
and if you say all around him, he'll just start laughing.
That's
He
funny.
knows.
Okay, so I just
But I didn't want to say that because it's mean.
Yeah, we won't
So
say
I
that.
just said MJ.
Okay,
We're just going to call her MJ.
we'll cut that out. But
Okay, now we're back.
I remember being told.
Yes, and so I was right. We're talking about MJ.
Yeah. You're like, hey, Dolph. So me and other guy are gonna go over to this place, and like, there's a girl I'm getting with, and there's a girl he's getting with. But there's another girl over there that ain't got nobody, and you're a single guy, and you should go over there. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I just broke up with my girlfriend. Is it like a sure thing? Well, I don't know. Probably. It just depends on you, I guess.
It did depend on you.
Yeah. And I was like, is she hot? And you're like, well,
She's cute.
she's cute. She's got a pretty face. I'm like, okay. Fuck it. So we go over there, and you and other guy are like, doing your thing and like talking to your girls, and I'm still, remotely shy and all that, and she's extremely shy.
Mm-hmm.
And we started drinking a little bit, and I'm just like, yeah, we can. You and other guy went outside with your girls, and I don't know what y'all were doing, probably talking, smoking, whatever. We were inside just kind of getting to know each other. I was like, we'd like, make out or something if you want. And she was like, well, I'm just worried. And I'm like, what are you worried about? She's like, just that, we're going to like make out or whatever, and, you're not going to come back, and you're not going to call me. I'm like, look, here's my phone number. I like you. I do. And I did.
You did.
I did. And like we started making out. I'm like, yeah. And night progressed a little bit, and we wound up in the bedroom, and I had drank so much. I remember just being super, super drunk. And we were back there, and I kept trying to like, go for it, and I was getting I wasn't getting no's. I was just getting, I don't know. I'm like, okay, if you don't want to, it's fine. We can just kiss. And we were just making out, and eventually she's like, I think I want to. And I'm like, are you sure? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, all right. And, I remember like taking everything off and going in, and then alcohol took effect.
Understood.
And things stopped working. But I didn't want to say, hey, my shit stopped working, because like there's nothing manly about that. So I was like, I just stopped, and I was like, it's like, look, I really like you, and I don't think we should ruin what could be an amazing thing by doing this too early. And she's like, oh my God, you're so sweet. But at the same time, like, I'm a man. I'm a little wrecked. I'm a little embarrassed. So I remember thinking, I'm not calling you tomorrow. It's not happening. But not because I didn't like her, but because I was like, made a fool of
that's
myself.
that's why she got really upset when you wouldn't talk to her after that.
Dude, I got like the most.
So then other guy ended up.
Oh, that fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't remember if you know this, or I don't know if you remember this or not. But I thwarted that because you started taking him over there instead. And then like I found out that he was going over there, and that you guys were getting ready to like go and pick people up and go to the Falls of the Ohio.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, I want to go. And you're like, I don't think that's a good idea. It's like, look, I want to apologize. You're like, okay. And I remember going and apologizing, and she like completely blew him off and spent the rest of the time with me. And like it finally happened. It finally happened.
Yeah, I remember that night. I was like banging on the rocks, like right next to the Ohio River, like out in the open.
Yeah. It finally happened, and then I still didn't call her because she fucked around with the other guy, and I didn't want any part of that. But I had to prove a point.
Understood.
Like you said. But no, like, whenever I didn't call her back the first night, I got, like, the most angry and creative text from anybody I've ever gotten. Do you remember it?
I helped write it.
Did you really?
I did.
No shit.
I don't remember what everything it said, but this was the thing. She was like, I need to write something bad, but I can't think of anything. And I was like,
You helped write that?
I did.
I remember, I hope your dick falls off, falls into another dimension, and dogs eat it. That was you? That is so funny.
I can't believe you didn't know that. I never told you that.
No.
No, I helped write that, I swear.
Oh, that's beautiful. It was such a good text. It was hard to be upset by it. I was just like, wow. It's like she's either crazy or just awesome. I don't know. That's some shit. I like that.
That's funny.
It was good.
It was my awesomeness.
No
coming
shit.
through.
I had no idea. That's so funny.
No, yeah, that was me. That's funny. I can't believe I never told you that.
I can't believe you were a part of that.
It's funny.
That was the best, like, angry text I ever got. It was so funny.
Well, you're welcome.
Thank you. It's so weird.